Hi, folks. Hey, right from the get-go, I'm going to let you know. You might see a little bit of lagging going on tonight. It appears I thought it was my internet. Running Water, my boy, and I have been messing around trying to get everything working all right. And it appears that it's the internet. Well, we've been running speed checks on my internet connection, everything. It's running faster than it's actually supposed to for what I pay for. So I don't know if there's lagging. Then I totally rebooted, got it all running again. It actually, because I can go to any site, just boom, 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 instantly. Minute I get on StreamYard, I start getting some lagging. I don't know why that is. I don't know why connecting up with StreamYard would cause any lagging. I don't like that. I'm paying for StreamYard. I expect it to work. I'm going to shout out at a couple of folks been chatting that are in the chat over here. Kathy Gahan jumped in right away. She was asking how my week has been going. She's going to watch my videos for the week tomorrow. She likes to watch a few at a time. And hey, TM, hello. Long time no see. I'm here. I'm here. Know where to find me. There's Tim with Kirk Whipper Voyager Center. Great to see you, my friend. Yeah. Oh, I'm kind of a little too happy it's Wednesday, because Wednesday is my Friday, Wednesday and Thursday is my Friday, and Saturday I go back to work on Sunday, kind of thing. It's been a very interesting last week since I saw you guys last. I had a super day last, whatever day that was, September 3rd. I don't know, was that Thursday, Friday, something like that? But September 3rd, the whole afternoon literally was all mine, and I had a blast that day. Oh, man, I had a blast. Yeah. Hope Day. Hey, look at this guy.
Hey, this isn't Pornhub live chat. What the hell's going on?
Boy, you just hit the wrong buttons all the time.
How you doing, Sty?
Dun, 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 dun. A little bit of Pornhub for you. I don't want to disappoint you, man. Yeah, you don't want to see that shit after me losing over 40 pounds. Yeah, you ever seen an anorexic elephant? Yeah, it's a good thing. See, I'm not as lucky as an elephant. At least he can pack all that loose skin in his trunk. Oh, Jesus.
Some doozies there.
Oh, Jesus. Yeah, too much of it's downhill from here, TM says.
Yeah. How's everyone out in the chat? How you doing, Kathy? Tim, Kirk Whipper,
Yeah.
TM? What's up, people?
Good sure enough, folks. Get some of your friends over here. Let's have a chat tonight.
Oh, yeah, it usually takes this thing a little bit to get going. So
yeah, a typical Wednesday night, it's midweek. Some people are practicing hump day, so they're occupied. So what the heck?
Yeah, if I could have been doing hump day right now, I wouldn't be here. But since I can't, I'm here.
Yeah. Shit, sloppy seconds. It's like getting sloppy seconds, man. Boy. You are hard up. You got to come over here. That's I was just telling these folks. Last week. Oh man. Oh, here, look at it. We got this goofball in the basement too. Yeah. There he is.
What's up, boy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Oh, Those new Pocky chips are nasty.
Yeah, they're not as nasty as the other ones, but they're not great.
No.
The 2021?
Yeah.
The new
Yeah.
one?
The yellow box. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, Joe. Good to see you, Joey. Hey, Kenneth, Kentucky Fam Trust Channel.
When did you do that?
I was out in California. I figured everything else around me was burning. My mouth might as well too. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, trying to fit in, were you?
Right. Oh, you're
Damn.
trying to fit off. What, did you lop your penis off while you were in California too?
Yikes!
No.
Yikes!
No. Didn't you know you don't need to do that to identify as something else?
Oh, okay.
No, you get to keep it and just call yourself one.
Oh, okay.
You know?
I got you.
Boy, times have changed. But
I'm identifying as vaccinated. You know.
Oh, are you?
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anybody
Do you
asks,
have that? Do you have that in writing?
hey, Kenneth. Well, you hear they're trying to what are they trying to do? Bring up charges on this one lady that went to Hawaii and use a fraudulent vaccination card in order to go, and then they discovered, because it was misspelt, Moderna was misspelt on the card. They discovered that it was a fraudulent vaccination card, and they're coming up with like supposedly some federal charges or something on it. It's like stupid, but I don't know.
That ain't right.
No.
I mean, come on. I can see, you know.
What's up, Raven?
I can see if she went over by plane or by boat, the carrier saying, "Well, you lied to us. We're not letting you on a flight back, until you prove up that you actually did get it or something, because they're a private industry, private business." But the government get in the middle of that shit again. I mean, come on, people. Do we need the government to live our lives for us?
Well, the government wants to live our
all
lives
of our
for us.
decisions.
They want us to.
And a big issue is that it is a U.S. state.
Hey,
It would be
Blackbird.
no different from me going from, Wisconsin into Minnesota.
Freeman.
Right.
Right.
That they didn't go to another country. They didn't cross, foreign borders.
Hey, Freeman James, brother. Great to see you. Hope all is well there back at your home. Hope sis is doing well. All of this, everything right now, and we ain't going down there because I got my ears so freaking full. It took me at least half a day to knock that shit out of my ears. Going over to Phil's last live stream. I heard so many comments that were true misnomers where they were not accurate. I was just like, no, don't say that. No. I'm watching it right now over on this channel. And you're saying that didn't happen. But I'm seeing it happening right there, the video. Something tells me I should trust my eyes, not my ears. And everybody getting so hyped up over all of it. It's the same old BS. Same old BS. I had a guy this morning.
All right, it's not federal.
That was raising holy hell about Afghanistan being the longest war we've ever been in, and blah 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 blah. And Afghanistan made Vietnam look like child's play and this and that. And I got pissed. I jumped on him. I said, you know what? We were in active participation in Afghanistan as of just the other day. Up till then, for only 5 months longer than we were in Vietnam. And he's making it sound like we've been there for years longer. And I told him, we've been in Afghanistan 5 months longer than Vietnam. You look at the death toll of Vietnam versus the death toll of Afghanistan, and I need you to shut up. War is fucking war. And guess what? And who do I hear it from more than anybody else? Someone that served in country in any war. War is hell. It doesn't matter how many people die in it. War is hell.
The problem is we trying to make war not hell anymore. We try to be the more sensitive killers, and we try not to kill as many and completely destroy the enemy. I mean, again, when they took down Taliban back, almost 20 years ago when this first started, they should have put their foot on their neck and snapped them and got them gone. There shouldn't be 75 Taliban to be able to come back when we pull out.
But Phil, that's the exact. You're absolutely right. I'm 110% on your side on that statement. But Phil, we've been screaming that since Korea.
Yeah.
Since Korea, we've been screaming that. Why in the hell didn't we put an end to it? Why did we pull out? Why didn't we put an end to it? Vietnam, same damn thing. Why didn't we put an end to it? Every time we get in an engagement, we pull out without a true win. And that's ridiculous.
Yep.
Our service members go over there, risk their damn lives. They're not risking a couple of bucks on a bet. They're risking their damn lives to have some politician say, "Oh, we've been there long enough. We're pulling out." Well, but wait a minute. We're not done with our mission. We want to wrap this thing up so we don't ever have to come back here again. Oh no, we're pulling you home, and we'll come back. Though we're pretty sure we'll come back. But the best thing is to bring you home.
So when did we pull out of Germany? When did we pull out of Japan?
Hey,
they're our allies now, and the Afghan people were our allies while we were there for 20 years. The women got to walk around, they got to be free, girls got to go to school, women got to own businesses, all sorts of. So the Afghan people were our allies. We just had to keep the Taliban out.
That's it. Everybody says, "Oh my God, that administration abandoned the United States and our servicemen by doing this." But who we really abandoned were the Afghanis.
We did.
Because we knew they weren't ready to hold their own. There's no way in hell they could hold their own. We knew it.
They knew that. Generals
and they
on the ground.
And I'm sorry. You don't have to like Trump. But I'll tell you what. Trump made it perfectly freaking clear that if the Taliban didn't follow his marching orders, we weren't pulling out.
Yep.
I don't believe we would have pulled out today under that administration because the Taliban was not meeting their requirements under the agreement. I don't believe.
Keep in mind too, they knew we were pulling out for all these months. They probably watched the southern border of our country, all the illegals coming into Texas, and see that Biden does nothing about that. So for months, many months, the Taliban been getting closer and closer to Kabul, taking over these little towns and whatnot, and getting closer and closer and closer. There was a better way to do this. Again, May 1st wasn't the better way. May 1st is during war season. May 1st was not the better way. The better way would have been in the fall or winter time.
Exactly.
When the Taliban goes back to their place and they hang out and do whatever they do. That would have been the time when the Taliban isn't already infiltrating to get the hell out. But they completely.
Well, and a big first step would be let's remove the civilians and our assets first, and then we'll take the troops out.
Don't it? Yeah, you know what? I'm getting so tired of hearing people make sense. I'm getting so sick and tired of you people making perfect fucking sense. Because why in the hell can all of us commoners, all of us simple peasants of the world, see how it's not a simple thing to do, but we can see what the logical thing was to do, and we're saying it, but we're wasting our wind because nobody upstairs has the lights on. I mean, they're not only not home, they don't even have the fucking lights on.
And you take and you read, because Trump had the plan layout, and the plan was like, okay, yeah, we get our civilians, allies out.
Hmm.
We level everything we built, and
Well,
then we
that's
take
it.
our troops out. So
All
we,
right,
we leave them nothing.
I heard somebody arguing with Phil the other night, and Phil was talking about all the equipment left behind,
Right.
and how that was shameful that we did that. And that person said, "Oh, all of that shit was inoperable." That's the biggest line of bullshit I heard that night.
It's bullshit. Because they're walking around using
bullshit.
the shit today.
And I was so pissed off when I heard that individual say that.
Driving around.
Oh no, not just that. The Taliban actually said they dispatched 60 Humvees to homes. Well, where'd the Taliban get Humvees? And if they're inoperable, what are they pulling them with goats? I mean, bullshit. Bullshit. And you know where that's coming from? I found it. I found where it's coming from because there's others saying that. Oh, that equipment was inoperable.
I heard it.
It's because one of the videos shows a big line of what the hell are they called? Phil probably knows. They're the big armored personnel carriers.
Oh, I saw those. Yeah.
Yeah, and one of them has a flat tire.
Yeah.
Has a front flat tire. Yep. One of them. They're inoperable. Yeah. See that truck sitting there with a flat tire. You know what inoperable is? Is when I worked for the reservation and I had a guy up there with 21 cars in his yard and only one of them ran and he didn't even have license plates on it. Those were inoperable because none of them had tires. They're all sitting on blocks and half of them didn't have engines in them. That's inoperable.
Right.
And
they like showing that the pictures of the one Blackhawk chopper, and it's the same chopper from different views that is in rough shape.
Okay, that one.
Yeah.
You taking your look at the full picture, you can see the other choppers behind it
lined up. Yep.
Yeah. This was the parts chopper that hasn't been used for a while. That's been sitting there.
Right.
Yeah.
Now the other thing is, and I think is more damning, the choppers is a big concern. The armored personnel carriers, the Humvees, their vehicles, they can be taken out with drones, blah, blah, blah. What I don't like is how many small arms got into their damn hands. Anything you can carry on your person should not have been left behind there.
Right.
Should never have been left behind there. And don't call any of that inoperable because it takes a half-ass gunsmith to slap one of them babies back into service. But I guarantee you. Don't fucking lie to me about it.
They didn't tell the Afghani people on on the base. They didn't tell them that they were leaving. So had they been making that stuff inoperable, then the Afghan people would have known we were leaving. But no, we left in the middle of the night. We left the stuff. I think we left the stuff behind to give them a fighting chance against the Taliban when they come. But even if you go back and look at the videos early on, they were saying, it would take months for the Taliban to possibly take over Afghanistan. All right, so it's going to take months. So even if it took months instead of 10 days, they're going to have those weapons in months instead of in 10 days.
Right.
How about we not do that? How about we not not pull out? Okay, I have no problem leaving some military people there as long as you can, try to keep.
What's that? What's Bagra? The other?
Yeah, the military base that we built.
And it's remote.
Right.
It's not sitting in the middle of a city.
Right.
It's remote. Very defensible. Why didn't we hold that position until we were certain that the Afghani government was going to be able to hold its own, and we had already gotten all of our assets out of there? And that goes from breathing, walking assets all the way down to that sidearm. I mean, that is the whole thing is ludicrous. It's just absolutely ridiculous that any mature, educated person that says, "Oh no, he did the right thing," I'm sorry, you just lost a lot of my respect right there because you're not paying attention. You're not looking at it. None of it is making sense
Well,
unless you look at it from a political perspective. It has nothing to do with our security, our national security. It has nothing to do with it, because you just shot a big portion of our national security all to hell. And I mean, for crying out loud, when the State Department's still interfering with flights leaving there, even though those flights will land outside of the United States, the people will be held until fully vetted, and then those that vet will get to come to the U.S. The others, they're going to have to decide where the hell they're going to go, because we ain't taking you. But let's get them out of there. If they're warm-blooded, breathing individuals want to get the hell out of, would you? If I was in the Taliban, but I was one of the little guys, I'd be trying to catch one of them planes, because things are going to shit.
Most of those Afghan people they took out weren't our allies. They weren't people that were translators. They weren't people that helped us. They were people that somehow got some kind of papers, or maybe didn't have papers at all, that got on the other side of that fence, and they got them out of there. It's all freaking bullshit. They were talking about
nowhere. Good to see you.
They're talking about like 10,000 of our Afghan allies that helped us are still in Afghanistan.
Yeah, yeah. And just imagine what those poor people.
Well, they're killing people.
Not what they're thinking and worrying daily, what they're thinking and worrying every moment.
Yeah.
I mean, every breath they take, they're just waiting for that door to get kicked in.
Well, the Brits are
losing their damn head.
The Brits are pissed off at us how we left.
Well, yeah, because we left
the French.
We left our allies and said, "Oh shit! Did we forget to tell you when the boat was leaving?"
Yeah,
that's what kind of bullshit is that?
And then the Brits were getting in vehicles. They were going into town, pulling their other Brit civilians out.
Right.
And our president was saying, "Find your way to the airport, and we'll get you out." And there were many people, Americans, that made it to the airport and were turned away from the Taliban, turned away. That were our people. So they made it to the airport. They made it to the airport.
And that's as far as they made it.
Bullshit, man.
Yeah, yeah. Now, can you imagine in World War II, D-Day, all the landing of all the troops, and the U.S. said, "We shouldn't be in this war. Let's turn around and go back."
Right.
And all the Brits and the French and the Poles and all the Allied forces hit the beach, but there's these big holes where the U.S. changed their mind and took off without telling them.
Right.
Oh, shit. They're supposed to be backing us up, and they never said they were going to turn around and leave. We would have lost World War II. So that I was thinking about it just a couple days ago. I love every day I get in my life now. I'm in my winter of my life. But the other day I realized sometimes I think I lived too damn long. I really didn't want to see this kind of shit ever happen to us. It's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. And the give them ballerina clothing to distract them so we can get our people home. I think we ought to. I mean, I'm surprised, very surprised, that this administration didn't buy every fucking goat from every goat raiser in the United States, put them all on them big cargo planes and fly them in on an exchange program. We'll give you 2 goats for each one of our people. And I think we could have gotten all of our people out of there. I think we got enough goats in the U.S. to make that kind of trade with them. Yeah.
Now, you see the people they're putting in charge of the government now, that they're trying to call a government, were people that we had a $10 million bounty on his head. They were people that we gave back when Obama gave them 4 of their people back to get the traitor Bergdahl, the one that left the United States and went to be a Taliban or ISIS or whatever. We got his ass back.
Right. What a trade.
How the hell?
But But that's one thing that was really shocking is the fact that the Taliban so blatantly and in the face, not just the face of the U.S., because that's where the egg ended up, is on our face, but in the face of all free countries, 4 of them sons of bitches that Obama let out of prison are now the top cabinet for the Taliban. And every one of them were to stand trial for terrorism. So what in the hell is wrong with this whole picture? I tell you what, this is as big a scandal as Vietnam, Watergate, as you know, I know a lot of people didn't live through Watergate. I did.
You know they're planning a
giving
parade,
out my
right?
age again. What's that?
They're planning a parade, right? You know what day they're planning that parade, right?
Yeah.
September 11th.
Yep.
So in your face, America, we are planning a parade on September 11th.
And who did they invite? And who did they invite?
China,
Russia, China, and Iraq.
Iraq, yeah.
Iran.
Iran, yeah,
Iran. Hey,
nope.
Nick. Thank you, brother. That's awesome of you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, great to see you, bud. Yeah. Hey, WTF, Mike. Good evening. Long time no see. That's great. Love to see you guys. Hey, share it out, guys. Get all your friends over here hanging out.
And the biggest lie they got going now is, well, it doesn't matter who was in charge. It would have been a shit show either way. Bullshit. Don't believe that bullshit.
You could
bailing Biden out that Trump wasn't man enough, Obama wasn't man enough, George W. wasn't man enough. Bullshit. You got to do it the right way. And if it can't be done the right way, then you don't do it.
Do it
the right way.
You just don't do it.
You know?
And this it's so easy. It is so easy for this administration to say it would have been a shit show if Trump had done it or Bush had done it. It doesn't matter who it was, Obama, if he did it, it'd still be a shit show. How the hell do you know? How do you know? Because they didn't do it. So you don't have the history of their actions to make a comment like that. You're just making that comment to cover your own incompetence.
Right.
What you did didn't work. So what are you doing? You're shifting the blame. You're blowing smoke up our ass just so that you don't get hurt by your stupid actions. That's all that is. And I don't care which president. If Trump would have done exactly what Biden did, I'd be as pissed off at Trump as I am at Biden. I guarantee you I would. And I'm a Trump supporter. I don't hide that. But if he would have done it just the way Biden did, I'd be as pissed off at him as I am at Biden. Yeah, people like to comment on the what ifs with certainty without any real factual basis to back it up. That's right. Yeah, you're so right there. Nowhere.
What's up, Mike?
Hey,
it's
somebody
said hoorah.
Hoorah. Well, maybe he's asked. Maybe that's a question.
Yeah, he's got like half army, which is hoo-ha or whatever they say, and half Marine Corps in there.
Hoo-ha. That wasn't that a TV show? Hoo-ha. Oh no, that's hee-haw. I'm sorry. Yeah. I gotta find Nick here.
Yeah. And then again, all the other stuff going on, planes that can't get out. You know, we got our own people, we got our own civilians going over there, you know, rescuing Americans, and our own government's not doing it. Our own government went over there and got a bunch of Afghan people out that don't qualify to be out. They know they got a bunch of people in there they need to vet out of the system that are dangerous people. You know, it pisses me off that they didn't get the right people out. They didn't get the right people out. Why? Because they didn't plan this ahead of time. Exactly. It's a big shit show because they didn't do a good job of it. So
now the thing is, I don't know how many folks have, but If you've ever watched the movie The Killing Fields, have you? Anybody
No.
ever watched the movie The Killing Fields?
I'm familiar with the movie, but I'm not. Yeah.
Well, that was the movie was about the collapse of Japan, or Japan, not Japan, Vietnam, and Cambodia. Well, and how the Communist Party basically let all the youth take over the political base of the whole country, and how they tortured and killed anybody that helped the U.S. during the Vietnamese occupation. That is a perfect example of what we've got coming for these folks that are still stuck over there. That's what they have to look forward to, is the new regime will try to lure them in. And in Cambodia, they literally would lure these people in to their fold just so they get their hands on them and execute them. And they would do that by giving them promises of being sent to the U.S. We'll send you wherever you want to go. Come to us, we'll send you there. They came to them and they lost their frickin' heads. And that's what's going to happen in Afghanistan. That's what makes me sick.
That's one thing that, made my eyebrows go up was when they took and announced that, it's like, yeah, we got all our flights out, but hey, there's still some people. But we gave the Taliban a list of, who
what kind of
we gave them a list,
crap?
Of their addresses, their biometrics, their photos and stuff. So who we want, so you can find them for us. It's like, no, it's like, looking at, Vietnam, type deal. Imagine, we're going to give the Vietnamese a list of all our allies. Yeah, you're going to give them to us, right?
It's
like
never in history has this kind of BS ever occurred. I mean, there were so many screw ups. It just turns.
Well, that drone strike right after the suicide bombing. We got two of their lead planners. It's like, no, it was a family of 9. 6 of the ones that were killed were kids.
Right.
Yeah.
And the media for the first 24 hours, all like, yeah, we got 2 of them, and it's suddenly boom, quiet. Nobody's talking about it.
Now the thing that bothers me, and I'm sorry for any service member that feels different, but I have full, absolute, undying respect for anybody that served. But the 13 that died, that was a drop in the bucket that died at the gate. Over 100 people got slaughtered.
Yep.
What about the others? Not just our 13, but all the other innocents that were at that gate. Yeah. I mean, that was so freaking disgusting. That was so I tell you what, they like to be suicide bombers. I tell you what, that bunch they let out of Guantanamo Bay, we should have
airdropped them without a parachute.
No. You duct tape their hands to their ankles. You shove a block of C4 up their ass, and you get about 150 yards away, and you say, "You should get at least 100 versions, you suicide bomber." Boom. Because every one of them people is a potential suicide bomber.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing is, and I heard this years ago.
Your ISIS. But yeah.
I heard it over 20 years ago, and I still believe it. I still strongly believe it. A war with radical radical Islamics in general, all these different factions of them, a war with them has to be won by their elimination. And now I've had people say to me, well, that's genocide. No, I'm not saying to kill the non-radicals. I'm saying every single person that shows any tendency of being radical in the Islamic arena needs to be eliminated totally, because these people, they're an ancient people. They're not like you and me. They're not Heinz 57. They're not several nationalities all mixed into one. They're an ancient people that has never, ever put any value all through history. You're going back over 1,000 years. These people have never had value of an individual's life. And that has been ingrained in them from birth, generation after generation after generation. That is not an ideology. That is literally who they are. They have no value in the individual's life. You can't win against those kind of people. You have to eliminate them. That's the only way to win. You can't deal with them. You can't bargain with them. You can't trust them. You have to eliminate those type that have those ancient views, because you cannot change those ancient views.
Well, here's the problem.
Especially when,
hey, computer chick,
the core of their belief,
hey, Ron,
is that they've got something better coming by dying and taking out as many others with them.
Hey, Rain Dancer.
Yeah. Oh no, they're better off dead than alive.
Right.
But that goes back. That's ancient.
Right.
That's not something new. That's not something in our lifetimes they came up with. That crap went on back BC.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
Well,
hey, look at this guy.
And here's the problem.
Hi, Nick.
Here's the problem. Not only with the Afghan people we're bringing to the United States, but with the people that we're bringing across the southern border. What's up, Nick?
Oh yeah.
And that is you have people coming from other countries that have a different core set of values. A lot of the core set of values is, survival. You got to kill somebody else. If you got to beg, borrow, steal, injure, maim, rape, do whatever you do to survive, that's what you do. It's been embedded into them for years. It doesn't necessarily make them a bad people in their country, because that's how you survive. But then you want to bring them to this country. They're not going to change. They're not going to change overnight. They might change a little, but those core things are still embedded in these people. And when the opportunity comes up, they may resort. They may, some may not. They're going to resort to how they were raised in order to survive, which might mean taking your life, might mean taking his life, might mean running someone over, might mean this, might be, so these aren't people that grew up in this country with a core set of values. The Afghan people are probably worse than the people coming across the southern border. But again, the people coming across the southern border are coming from up to 51 different countries.
Yeah.
So I mean, what core set of values do these people have coming into our country? And when you let them in at this, I'm sorry,
I'm trying to remember who it was.
I have all sorts of our core set of values in this country have already changed. What we tolerated 50 years ago, we wouldn't tolerate now. Or we tolerate things now we wouldn't tolerate
back then.
Yeah.
I don't remember who the individual was, but he's Border Patrol. He's one of the upper brass sort of the Border Patrol, and he's really disgusted with our border. It stuck home with me when he said, all right, we've already caught 2 people on the terrorist list coming into Southern California across the border. Actually confirmed terrorists. He said, now think of that. We found 2 of them coming across our border. He said, right now, the legal crossings and those caught represent less than 15% of those getting across.
Mhm.
So we catch 100,000, 1,000,000 get across without getting caught.
Right.
He said, now apply that same percentage basis to the 2 terrorists we caught. How many damn terrorists made it across?
Right.
And are in our country free as birds right now. And I see
all the
where
drugs that are coming across.
Oh, Raven, don't come on here and start that bullshit. I don't want to hear about who got kicked off and all that shit. I don't want to hear that shit.
But all the fentanyl that's coming across the border. I mean, they were talking about, was it 90,000 people have died from fentanyl overdoses? Now, I don't know how many years that is, but that's 90,000 people dying from fentanyl overdoses of that shit coming across our southern border. Mm-hmm. That right there, pandemic of its own thing should be enough to where we don't let people, where we got this all shut down. So our border patrol people aren't having to be humanitarians to the people coming across. They can actually patrol the border and keep people out, as opposed to helping the people that are coming across. Because then you got less people on the border. You got more fentanyl and everything else coming in because they can't guard the whole border, because they're trying to take care of all these people with kids and families and pregnant people and this and that. It's all a bunch of horse shit.
Yep.
Well, and then you got the problem with kids by themselves, or people showing up with kids that aren't their kids.
Aren't their kids?
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that's how you get across, right?
Computer chick. Ain't that nuts? Where you're seeing more and more vaccination mandates, but yet there's not a vaccination mandate for anybody crossing the border.
Right. Oh, no.
Now, and all I see is all of these things that we're having to deal with in this day and age is if someone does the wrong thing often enough and is never held accountable, it'll eventually become a norm, because people become tolerant to it. It's just like, what are you going to do? They just keep letting it happen. What are you going to do? And it's that, like Phil was saying, I'll tell you what, when I was growing up, even when I was a teenager, an older teenager, if you said, oh, you need to be more tolerant, you're going to get your nose busted. Because they tell you, hey, can you tolerate this? Boom! And you're like, ew. No, we do not have to tolerate some of this crap that is just not. It's not reasonable, is the thing. None of it is reasonable.
Immorality is not something that you should tolerate. If it's immoral, and again, let's go back to the summer with all the protests and all the people breaking the law. Not that protesting is not breaking the law, but what some protesters did was breaking the law.
Oh, Kathy,
they go to jail, and they get charged with the crime that they committed. They don't get out. You don't put them back in the fold. All this stuff of not upholding the law, upholding the law. It's
and that again goes right back to common sense. We have laws not just to be followed, but those laws are there to protect us, the innocent, from those who are going to violate those laws. But if you're not going to have a consequence that goes with the law, then why even have the law?
Right.
And laws in the past were developed to protect the individuals in our nation. Now they're passing laws to protect classes of people.
To protect the criminals.
That's total BS. Total BS. You don't pass laws to protect this group because they have this idea. No, you pass a law because an individual with that idea is going to get hurt if you don't pass that law. It's not the class you pass the law for. This is a country of individuals, not a country of classes. And that's
what gets me is, our whole civil rights movement was all about breaking down the division that, hey, we're all the same, we're all equal, we should all have equal opportunity, equal rights, that we're all one people, doesn't matter what you're from and all that. But with the policies that they're pushing through now, it's all about division.
Oh yeah.
That this group is more important than you, and if you don't fit in this pocket, it's like completely undoing everything that we've progressed on, that we've achieved.
Right. Oh, that's all I've been seeing in all of this is the undoing of a success.
Mm-hmm.
Our nation was a success story. And now, who would have thought that its final chapters are going to be how it all... Guess what? The U.S. is turned into the Game of Thrones. It's turned into the Game of Thrones. And right now, we got a king with a bunch of drunk dragons. That's all we got.
We got to get the right people back in office. You can't have one-sided,
Hi, JCT.
Right now our government's all one-sided. You got Democrats in charge. You got Democrats in that control the House, and for more or less, the Democrats control the Senate with the vice president as the tiebreaker. So you can't have government doesn't run like that.
That's the thing is the only salvation we possibly have at this point is to take the House and the Senate back. They have them both, and the majority thereof.
Right.
That's the only. And everybody's screaming, impeach Biden, and I'm going, whoa, wait till after the elections. I want the midterms because I want to see the House and the Senate in our hands before you impeach that goofy old bastard. That the damage.
Nutty motherfuckers after him anyway. Excuse my language.
Well, see, and the thing is you get rid of him, and until midterms, guess who you're going to have to deal with? No show Camo. And you don't. We don't see her now. She takes that seat. I guarantee you, you're not going to see her, but you're going to feel her. She's going to fall in line with all the radicals, and we're going to have.
They're all going to tell her what to do, just like they're telling Joe what to do.
Joe
in control.
But I think they're going to tell her to go even more extreme than Joe. Yeah.
Well, and something that really gets me with Joe, and that I every time you got the press conferences, he's speaking, having his briefings or anything.
Yeah.
I stream him, I listen, every single time. He's like, well, let me look at my list and see who I'm allowed to ask.
Right.
Yep.
Who they told me I could ask. It's like, wait. You're supposed to be the top rung. Who's telling you to do anything?
Right.
Yeah. Rain Dancer. I like that. Rain Dancer is saying problem is people don't know civics. Civics explains government. He gets this put me right over the edge, right? All right. Now I've owned and sold businesses. I worked in a government position for over a year. I was in my late 30s, and all of a sudden the government gets a hold of me and says, guess what? You're doing an awesome job. We're so happy to have you, but we're going to have to let you go unless you comply with one thing. And I said, what's that? And they said, get a high school diploma. I said, oh, shit, I never even thought of that. Do I have to have one to work for the federal government? So I went, and they said, well, if you get a GED, we're going to turn a blind eye. So I went and I talked to our local area vocational technical school. And I said, you give GEDs? They said, yeah, you got a choice, a GED or a high school equivalency test. They said high school equivalency test, you get an actual diploma from your school district that you live within. And I said, okay, I'll take that one. They said, well, you got 3 extra tests. And I said, what are those? Well, you got to write this big ass essay. And I can't remember. Oh, there's an additional math test you have to take. Plus, you have to take a quite long civics exam. I said, oh, I'm good with that. I said, I want to take them all in one day. They said, oh, no, it always takes at least 2 days to get these tests. I said, no, I haven't got time. I got a job. I went in there, 8 o'clock in the morning, started my first test. They shut the place down at 4:30. 3:45, I handed my last test to her. Said, I'm done. She says, we'll let you know. She says, because your essay gets sent off, we are not allowed to grade it. And we got to wait for those results. Same with your civics exam. Because there was a lot of questions you had to actually write out an explanation of your answer or position. When my results came back, I passed my high school equivalency with a 98.5%. Now, I hadn't been in high school in 16, 17 years, and I passed with flying colors. The year after I did that, the state of Wisconsin eliminated the civics requirement to get your high school equivalency. You no longer have to take civics to pass high school.
Right.
That's the most important class, in my mind, for high schoolers. They should have 3 years of civics, because you could put 3 years of study in civics, I guarantee you. But now it's not required. Civics, in fact, in most of our high schools in Wisconsin, is actually an elective. You don't have to take it. You have to take American history, but you don't have to take the civics. That's an elective. And and there's a rhyme and reason to that. Look at the condition we're in today. Look at the condition we're in today. I love it when I see these reporters go out in the field and they ask people questions that have to do with civics, with the structure of government, how much power does a governor have versus a senator versus a president or a vice president. And these people don't know. They haven't a clue. They don't have a clue about their structure of government. And we, as the people, that's our government, not their government. When society, when I was growing up, I swear to God, I am not lying to you. If in our house, in front of my dad's father, my grandfather, or my father, if I said the government, pow! You say our government, you little shit. It's never the government in this country. It's our government. We don't ever want to hear you say the government. Because if you lived in Russia, you'd be absolutely right. But you're in the U.S. This is our government, not the government. But look at it today. I think you'd all agree with me. What do we always say? The government. The government is this. The government did that. The government. It's not, we don't have that our mentality anymore. And I wish we could get that back. I wish we could get society to say, hey, damn it, wait a minute. We're a little ass backwards here. This is our government, not the government.
Yeah. Well, and I remember that, from my senior year, I graduated in 95. And, our classes, you pretty much plan out a lot of your classes throughout all of high school, knowing which one your prerequisites and everything. You know, we had, you know, U.S. government or U.S. history that you had to take early on, then world history, and then, you know, we were told, you know, freshman year, you know, told that, you know, by the time you graduate, you know, either your junior or senior year, you're going to have to take government. Well, I had it planned out, so I would take government my senior year. Senior year, it was an elective.
Right.
You know, I took it because I grew up with that guy. So it's like,
yeah, you grew up in my household.
There's going to be a cakewalk. You know,
Phil, sorry for you then.
There's only like 5 people in the class. You know, because, you know, they had the choice of not taking it. You know, it's like.
And Running Water can vouch in our household. He wouldn't have had that choice. If he would have come home and said, I'm not taking government, I would have said, no, you're taking a ride with me in the car to change your classes. Because you are taking government, buddy.
Well, growing up in our household, you know, we knew, you know, in the office and in the dining room, you know, usually it's up on the fridge, there's always the little pamphlet of, you know, the Constitution, you know, the Bill of Rights. You know, and you know, we were taught that stuff early. You know,
absolutely,
continually. You know,
I can definitely say that my children, by the time they were 3 years old, they could damn near quote the Bill of Rights to you. By the time they were 3, and they weren't shy, not one of them, to spit out, you know, you're wrong. That isn't a right. That's a privilege. They knew the difference between privileges we received from our government. Here we go.
Yeah, and we learned early on that at home we had no rights, only privileges.
Exactly. As long as you're in my household, I don't give a shit if you're 16 or 60. If you're under my roof and I'm putting the food on the table, guess what? You're in my house with a lot of privileges. And I'll guarantee those privileges for you. I'll make sure you eat good, you stay warm and dry, that you're taken care of. Break my rules and you're going to lose those privileges. And if you start saying, but I have the right to, the only right you have is to follow my rules or get out the damn door. Because my home is not a constitutional haven like our country is. If you want to exercise rights, that means if you're an adult, get your ass out on the street and exercise your rights. And that means get a job, because you have the same opportunity anybody else does to find some kind of job. Get out there, find a job. Get out there, get an education. If you want to play stupid so you can't get accepted into a school, that's not my fault. You still have the right to go to school. You just have to work for it. That's all. And people don't realize rights aren't free. And that's one thing I'd like to stress to folks, if you don't mind. You might not like hearing it, but if you don't mind, I'd like to stress to you, the only true rights the individual has, they all end at the end of your nose. All of your rights are so personal. People think their rights expand worldwide even. Your rights end right at the end of your nose. So my rights begin at the end of my nose. You come over, touch the end of my nose, you just violated my rights. Because I have the right to be my own person, unencumbered. So don't go there. Just stay away. Don't touch. You can look, you can listen, just don't touch. That's my one true right, is the right to never be affected by you physically. Don't damage me in any sense. Now how does that expand? I bought this property. This is my property. My nose just turned into a 6-acre nose. Don't touch my nose. That's where your rights end and mine begin. Everybody wants to see these collective rights. There's so many rights in this world that we actually have. But if you exercise them, you got to pay the consequence. Guess what? I got the right to behead running water. I'll cut his head off. I got the right to. Now, people are going to disagree. They're going to say, no, you don't. But if I whipped a machete out and chopped his head off, I'd say, see, look at there. I just cut his head off. I told you I had the right to do it. But you know what other right I have? I have the right to hang for that. I got the right to sit in an electric chair for that. I got the right to go to the gas chamber for that. With every right comes a responsibility. You got to be held responsible for the exercise of your rights. So when you exercise your rights, make sure you're exercising it in a fashion that doesn't injure somebody else. Because it's at the minute it injures another person, you've just violated the whole idea of individual rights.
Yep.
So,
you can't be infringing on other people's rights.
Yeah.
You know.
Whose belly's expanding? Yours, Phil?
Yep.
I got a secret, guys. I sent my belly over there to Phil's, and he tried it on. And he goes, "Yeah, that fits pretty good."
Mm-hmm.
Said, yeah, I could put that right over the one I got. Yeah.
Yep.
I told Phil right up front, he thought he was on Pornhub, and I started lifting my shirt up, da, 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 da. And I told him, I said, I wouldn't stand up and do that. I lost over 40 pounds. So I told him, I said, have you ever seen an anorexic elephant? The only difference between me and that anorexic elephant is that elephant can put all that extra skin in his trunk. I got no trunk. Yeah.
Out mowing the lawn shirtless and your skin flapping in the wind.
Yeah, elephants and Shar-Pei puppies look good with loose skin. Everyone else, not so much.
Not so much. Yeah. Unless you identify yourself as a Shar-Pei elephant.
So now when you do these hikes up on these cliffs and these nice views and stuff, if you slip, you can do the whole flying squirrel thing. And just...
That's it? No shit. All I got to do is reach down, grab the loose skin on my ass and stretch out, and I'll fly down like a flying squirrel. Damn right. People will freak right the hell out. Hey, I got a video coming up. Actually, it won't be this week. I've got 5 videos coming up, guys, starting Friday. 5 in a row, every day a video coming up. The following week, I think I've got one for every single day of the following week. Hey there, Joran. Great to see you. But not this week, but the following week, I got a video where I took John and Jan from Adventures in the Heartland up to see this scenic overlook. You'll get to see the scenic overlook this week. That's coming up, I think, might be on Sunday, either Sunday or Monday. Oh, no, it's coming up Friday. That one's coming on Friday. Watch that one. It's an awesome scenic overlook that I found by chance. One of my fellow Forest Service people told me that she knew where this was and told me how to find it, and she wasn't kidding. It's beautiful. Well, I took John and Jan from Adventures in the Heartland to that overlook, and I told them that what I had heard is the students from Northland College in Ashland, Wisconsin, 40 miles away from me, down at camp. Come down there, they've got a climbing club, rock climbing club, and they go down there and they climb that rock face on a regular basis. So I told them maybe we'll be lucky and we'll catch a couple of rock climbers here. We got down there, and I think there was like 12 of them. There's 12 climbers down there, and they're climbing that big granite rock face. So we got some video of them climbing, and I got to do a long, it's not a true interview, it's just a long discussion with this gal, 20-year-old gal, CJ. And it was kind of funny because I'm about 15 minutes or so into our conversation, and I go, oh, by the way, what's your first name? And she tells me, and she says, just call me CJ. And I said, you wouldn't mind the fact that I've had my camera on all this time? You wouldn't mind if I put you on YouTube, would you? And she graciously said, no, not at all. And she's all smiles. And so it's going to be a quite long video. Probably it could be anywhere from 30 to 45 minutes long, that video. There's a lot going on, a lot of conversation with her and John and Jan and I. And then we finally get to the top, and we have a sit down with her, and we have some more conversation about things she's experienced and stuff. And now there is a good example of when East meets West, okay? She's from Pennsylvania, which is east of me. So in a sense, it is true. East met West. She is very, very, I wouldn't call her a liberal, but she's a strong independent, okay? But more, you have to put her in the liberal class. And we got on some touchy topics. I didn't film those topics because I didn't want her to feel embarrassed, and I felt a little awkward even touching on some of the issues. Now, Running Water knows where I'm talking about. She told me, she said, when you're done hosting all winter, she said, I want to meet up with you every Thursday at noon at the Black Cat Cafe. And she said, and plan on at least a 2-hour conversation, because she said that damn place is so expensive. She says, you know, liberals think they can charge whatever they want, but they hate capitalism. And I looked at her like, I can't believe it. Should I slap you? I asked her, should I slap you in the mouth for saying that? I said, how dare you as a liberal say the Black Cat Cafe charges too much, because they're so into capitalism, you know. But it was amazing that somebody's so far to the left, and me being very quite old school conservative, and we didn't bump heads. We differed on certain things, and we agreed that we'll probably, neither one of us will ever change our minds on certain topics, that we'll just, for us personally, we'll just stand on what we think and believe. But those are beliefs, those are ideologies that differ. But structurally, we found that we had a lot more common ground than I would have ever imagined. And I asked her, I said, you're going to an environmental sciences college. That college is all for the environmentalists. It's all for, if you want to be a biologist, a geologist, a forester, you want anything to do with the environment, there's an environmental college. That's the place to go. In fact, it's considered a premier environmental college in the U.S. People that graduate from with a 4-year degree in any of the environmental studies, they're almost guaranteed a job. If you go into forestry, the Forest Service is grabbing your butt. Yeah, They grab you right up. But it's surprising because they're a different breed of liberal, a total different breed. I asked her flat out, I said, how can you be as liberal as you are and as outdoorsy as you are? I said, you do know that part of the liberal agenda is to defund Forest and Park Service, the Department of Ag, basically, is defunded to the point where we have to close off our forests and stop people from going out there and damaging that little flower on that trail. I said, you know, if the liberal side had its way, all of our forests would be shut down. We wouldn't be allowed to come out here and rock climb. We wouldn't be allowed to hike up to the top of this dome and look out over this beautiful view because they don't want the human impact out here. And she said, well, they go to hell. What was that about, Phil?
I was looking. I thought I brought a water down here. I was looking at my screen. See if I left it back there.
He looks behind his screen for water. I mean,
well, it's a laptop, so yeah.
It's just that there is a small group of individuals in this country that have decided who does and doesn't get to exercise their rights. Well, that's it. Yep. That's it. The majority is starting to be run by the minority. And, you know, we don't want majority rule. We want equal treatment under the law, period. And because you don't want true majority rule, because that's liberal. That's mob rule. That's where the mob, it's a squeaky wheel thing. The mob intimidates everyone else into subjection, you know. That we'll do whatever you say. We don't want to fight with the mob.
No, the majority doesn't want to be called racist, homophobic, xenophobic, sexist, what all those other names out there that end, all those right things that end in SIST. Nobody, we're 80% of what's going on, and we don't want to be labeled as one of those things. So what do? We just keep our mouth shut. We go with the flow, and that's the biggest problem with our Republican Party right now. I'm not getting back into politics. I'll stay out of politics, but yeah, that's the biggest problem with people like myself is we don't want to be labeled as any of those things because we're not any of those things. We have old time values, and there's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with having morals. There's nothing wrong with following teachings from the Bibles. That these are the old things from back, and there's nothing wrong with all of that. So,
Rain Dancer, I think you and I see eye to eye quite a bit because just your comments since I've known you tells me that you and I see eye to eye an awful lot. I've gotten in more arguments and fights with environmentalists, tree huggers, and as you put it, earth muffins. I get in a lot of arguments with them. And I hope, I believe I have educated some of them where they went back home and said, whoa, I got to rethink some of these things. And it's because I love the outdoors and I want to protect the outdoors for future generations to be able to experience it. What good is it to be there if we don't experience it? And I get tired of these people saying humanity is a scourge. We're terrible. We destroy the outdoors. Some do, but we try to regulate it. We try to control that. Strip miners, unscrupulous logging, blah, blah, blah. We do our best to control that, to protect our outdoors and to make sure it continues to thrive. People think conservatives don't care about endangered species, blah, blah, blah. Well, it's not that we don't care, but in some cases, endangered species have been given a tag of endangered species with a footnote caused by humans. but they have no science to back that up. From day one on this planet Earth, things have come and gone. Things have come and gone. When something has reached its end, we as people, and a lot of the tree huggers are the most guilty of it, think we're gods and we can stop a species from becoming extinct. Now, I watched this documentary on this tiny little fish. The little bastard only gets about 3/4 of an inch long. That's a grown-up one, right? And they're only in this one little pool in this frickin' desert out in the middle of nowhere. It's the only place they're known to exist. And because of climate change, which has been happening for millions of years on this planet, by golly, I wonder why it's happening again. Why should it ever happen again? It must have been the people that did that. But because of climate change, they're going in there, adding water to this pool to make sure they don't die off because their pool is drying up. My position on that is if them little fish, if just part of that little fish had a brain, it would have bred in a few other pools, not just that one. It would have swam downstream when it had a downstream and bred somewhere else too. Its time is running out, and it's not our fault. For us to make that fish continue to exist, we're playing gods. We're playing gods. We're more powerful than Mother Nature. We're going to play God and make that fish exist forever. And if it does die off, it's got to be man's fault because he didn't save it. I don't buy into that BS. I don't buy into it. And they keep saying, oh, all the polar bears are going to die off because of global warming. Well, I guarantee you, and I've watched documentaries on how the polar bears are adapting and changing their food sources and moving farther inland. They're learning how to be white grizzlies. So let's get real. Mother Nature always finds a way. Believe me, if you don't, watch Jurassic Park. They say that in Jurassic Park. Jeff Goldblum says it plain as day. Nature will find a way. Yeah. But now I hate to go there because that's kind of like the gender identity thing, because he asked, well, how do you know these dinosaurs aren't having babies? Well, they're all females. And he goes, yeah, so? Well, you're saying two females can produce young? And he's going, no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying nature will find a way. Find out one of those female is only identifying itself as a female. There,
yeah, that they use genetics of a frog that, depending on population, will change its gender.
They're asexual. Hey, Jason, good to see you. Jedzia Dax, awesome. Dr. Smith, great to see you folks. Hey, I got to run this. It only takes 1 minute. You guys, if you got to grab a cup of coffee, it only takes a minute. So pour quick. I hope you don't need cream and sugar. And the three of us will be right back with you.
4.
Well, 4. I forgot you were here, Phil.
I know.
Oh.
I'm so quiet.
Turn
sideways and you miss me.
Yeah. Okay. Here we go. These are my channel members. Love these folks. There they are.
There they are.
Awesome. Hey, on a different note, I went to our local L&M Fleet Supply last week, and they got these neat totes. Heavy plastic, great lids with these double locking handles. They're only $20 a piece. That's cheap, but for almost the same price at Walmart, you get the flimsy plastic totes with the thin lids. You stack 3 on top of each other, the one on the bottom collapses. Those these suckers, they're rated stacking weight. The one at the bottom can handle 250 pounds. Well, that's a lot of them totes you can stack on top of each other. So I bought one, and I got all my tools out of my truck, out of the camper, out of the campsite, all in that one box. It's awesome. It holds everything. That's in the box of my truck now. Well, I like those totes so much, I figured, shit, look at this trailer, how disorganized everything is. And I thought, all of this stuff here and there and over there and there, it's all one class of stuff. And all the rest of it is another class of stuff. So if I had 2 more totes, I could separate that shit, put them in those totes, and I could stash those under my Murphy bed. So I went and I got 2 more of them today. Well, the first one I got, it's black. They're all out of the black one. So I had to get 2 bright orange, fluorescent orange ones. Well, I'll never lose them, I guess. So I bought those 2 totes. And I'm walking down. I'm heading out, going to buy those 2 totes, pay for them. I went down the wrong aisle. I walked out of there with a little buddy heater, too.
Oh.
And everybody told me that thing's going to cost you $100, $79 for that little buddy at L&M. I went to Walmart to get the propane cylinders because they're cheaper at Walmart. And I looked at their little buddies. Their little buddies were $89.99, $10 more than the ones at L&M. So I'm glad I grabbed that one. And now I'm going to be just toasty until I pull out of camp in October. I'm going to start breaking camp down the last week of September. I'm going to be breaking down the camp kitchen, packing all that crap up, getting it all covered, tarp, ready to load into the trailer when I head out. So the last couple weeks, the first 2 weeks of October, I really don't have to do anything except eat, sleep, and watch movies in my trailer and clean a bathroom once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I might bring Allie down to visit.
That'd be cool. Hey, Rain Dancer, you never talk too much. I talk too much. Just ask this guy.
It wouldn't, it wouldn't be so much. I mean, realistically, if you didn't have to repeat things over and over,
yeah,
2 and 3 times. I mean,
bullshit. You are so foolish. Yeah, I need you. I'm thinking of doing either a raised garden or else container gardening and grow some tomatoes and maybe some bell peppers or something out at camp next year. I got to get you out there early in the spring to fertilize those containers for me. You're so full of it.
Yeah.
Uh-oh. Chat's gone quiet. Well, that's what we need you for, Rain Dancer. You keep that chat looking like we're just busy as hell. I love it. Love it.
No, I try to be active on the panel there, Rain Dancer, but some people just if you take a breath every now and then,
Yeah. Sure. Come up for air. I use a CPAP machine and I get the readings off of that damn thing every week when I get home. I pull it up on the internet. Shows me how I slept every night for the week. And I used to, when I was here at home, before I went out to camp, I got 100% every night. 100% on those ratings. Ever since I've been out to camp, it runs between 95 and 98%, never 100%. But here's the difference. It says that my mask seal isn't good enough, so it's taking points away from me. That's because I roll around, I sleep wherever I want, and that damn thing's getting crooked and hissing all over it. That's why I lose points. What's important on those readings you get from a CPAP machine is how many apnea events do you have in an hour? Now, when I was diagnosed, I had 47 apnea events per hour. That's insane. That's almost one every minute. All right. In the last 5 weeks, I've been below one apnea event. It's always 0.5, 0.7, 0.4 events per hour. And they said, well, that's what a normal person has. Ooh.
Normal.
Oh. Somebody almost called me normal. I mean, God, I was so thrilled. I was so thrilled. That's almost what a normal person is.
Jazzy wants to know if you have any new animal stories.
Let's see, do I? Oh, I saw a great big fat raccoon last week.
Oh, yeah?
I'm sitting in camp looking out over the lake, and it was dark. I had Campfire going, and it was pitch black out there. I couldn't film. Damn GoPros aren't very good in the dark. And I'm sitting there, and I hear something coming through the woods, something through the brush, and I thought, damn, that sounds big. It's got to be a deer coming along the edge of the lake shore, going to come right out my camp down by the lake, you know? And it's getting louder and louder, and all of a sudden, here comes this big, fat-ass raccoon comes lumbering through, and I go, hey! That son of a bitch had 1 foot up, and he turned his head and looked at me and froze. And I swear to God, he had to have stood there for a minute and a half, 2 minutes. And I'm fucking laughing, and he ain't moving. It's just like he was a stone statue. And then slowly turned his head, slowly put that foot down, and as fast as he could, waddled his big fat ass into the woods on the other side. Haven't seen him since. But it was so funny the way that sucker froze. And Samantha would appreciate that because she put me onto this video of one doing that. I think it was out on a guy's porch where it had his hands up and just froze. Wasn't moving. But this one did the same thing. It's just like, just froze there. The small world. Yeah, it is a small world, isn't it?
This is a video I saw recently. Let's see if it's come up here. Oh, yeah. About 3 months ago, a black bear just strolling.
Oh, shit.
A black bear strolling through downtown Gatlinburg. I mean, he was right downtown.
Sure.
People telling other people to get out of the way, watch out for the bear. Yeah.
That's a problem with the bear in the city. 90% of those people, they don't have a clue. Oh, look at the Disney bear.
Yeah. No, the people that had a clue were telling the people that didn't have a clue, get the
fuck away from there. I can just see morons saying, Johnny, run up there and stand next to him so I can get a picture.
Right?
Yep.
Well, and they don't understand.
Take it a picnic basket. I know what they do. Take it a picnic basket.
That's
Well,
it. That's
and
it.
yeah, and bear like that, they don't have much endurance, but their short sprint speed, you're not going to outrun it.
Nope. 45 miles an hour here.
45 miles an hour for a black bear. Yep. I hate to repeat myself, but Bill forgot for sure.
You must have given me that statistic some other time. Maybe it was an alligator that was up to 35 miles an hour. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I learned that from you. You had heard it somewhere else that a gator was 35 miles an hour.
Yeah. You just got to zigzag with a gator. They can't zigzag.
They're not good at taking corners.
Yeah.
The only problem is you're looking behind you, zigzagging while you run right into the mouth of the second one. That's just not moving at all.
I got news for you. If I'm running from a gator, it's slipping in shit because I'm shitting my pants as I'm going. So,
well, that's me with bears. That's me with bears.
I wondered what that smell was.
Wondering what that smell was, eh? See, that's me with bears. If a bear actually chases me, I guarantee you he'll catch me.
Oh, yeah.
I guarantee you. He ain't going to hurt me, though. The minute he gets a hold of me and finds out I'm covered in piss and shit, he's just going to go, whoa, that one's nasty.
Yep.
I'll go catch me
a fresh one.
That one's gone bad.
Well, that guy out there in when I was out in California, he was heading north, going up to Washington, and he was talking, that he saw that there's like a nature trail and stuff that was nearby, going out to some falls, and it's shown on the map. I was like, well, yeah, there's a truck stop there and stuff. You might want to have someone with you. There's no cell signal out there. I said, it's far enough. It's North Bend, Washington, so
right.
You're far enough out there. It's like, yeah, you got to watch out for wildlife. Bears and stuff. You're like, well, I'll just go up a tree. I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work so well with black bear.
No.
You go up a tree. You're a kebab now. You're a snack on a stick.
Well, okay, and that's a misnomer. People say, yeah, bear chased me right up the tree. Well, that was a dumb bear then, because you're still here to talk about it,
right?
The old wives' tale: grizzly bears can't climb trees; their claws are too long. They can't.
They don't need to.
90% they don't, because they'll just knock the damn tree over. Now, we had a guy up in northern Montana. Now, yeah, everybody's heard about, the wild man, the bear guy in Alaska. Him and his girlfriend got chowed down by a grizzly, and and everybody had all of these theories about how grizzlies attack and blah blah blah. Okay, I don't know why this guy never made headline news. It was up in the Yak in the northwestern corner of Montana. He was a photographer, and me and you remember Bill, of course, Donnie, Running Water. And Bill and I met this guy just in passing in the one and only restaurant in Knoxon, Montana. And that guy was bragging about how he's going out in the woods and taking pictures of wildlife, especially grizzly bears. Now, it wasn't a couple weeks later we found out this guy, they found him out in the woods all mauled to death. The one thing they found undamaged was his camera. And the very last picture on that camera that was good was that bear's mouth around his ankle about 30 feet up in a tree. That bear had him by the ankle in its mouth, 30 feet up in a tree, and it was an 800-pound grizzly bear. How did it get up in that tree? Well, that guy, I know that's the way I am, man. I can't climb a tree. I ain't got a branch low enough for me to jump up and get my arms over. If I got to grab it with my hands and lift myself up and then start climbing, the bear would have me before I got up off that first limb. So you go for a tree that looks like a ladder that you can climb. And that's what that guy did, was he ran up to this tree, had low-lying branches in it. They were all laid out like a ladder, and he started climbing that tree and turning and taking pictures of that bear. And that bear chased him up the tree. Well, that bear got up there and realized, oh, yeah, that first limb's pretty low. Gets on that first limb, swings his bottom leg over it, grabs onto the second limb with his paw, stands up, and starts climbing that tree like it's a ladder. Right up to that guy and grabs him by the ankle and yanks his ass out of the tree. 800-pound grizzly. Grizzlies don't climb trees. Anybody that tells you that, I wish that guy was here to tell you otherwise. Because I'm sure that guy was screaming and hollering while he's snapping his pictures. You can't climb. You can't climb. Yeah. Oh, shit. That bear had a whole different idea about it. I'm going to climb up there and kick your ass. That's it. The bear didn't eat him or nothing, just killed him. You know, it wasn't one of them freaky bears. It was just a bear that killed the guy. Stopped at a campground in British Columbia. No campers. It was closed due to grizzly bears harassing campers. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they're calling them expletives and all sorts of other things,
Oh, yeah, the Reverend. Yeah, Hugh Glass. The story of Hugh Glass is one of my favorites. It's one of my absolute favorites. Him getting mauled by the grizzly and surviving his whole trek after getting mauled like that. It's just amazing. You're right. That's all you need to know about grizzly bears. I mean, and now if you read the book they wrote about Hugh Glass, that goes into a lot of it is historical fiction. A lot of the writings in the movies and that, but they portray they got the bear attack down pretty damn good. And yeah.
There's one movie out there with a bear attack, a grizzly bear attack. I think it's with Brad Pitt. And I don't know what the name of that movie is, but Brad Pitt's like some rugged outdoorsman, got this old scraggly beard and everything, and a bear attacks him out in the wild, and that is a pretty graphic. I mean, it looks like this guy is really getting mauled by a bear. It's they did some great camera work and stuff with that.
The Reverend is with DiCaprio.
Mm-hmm. Oh no, so with DiCaprio, it's that one then. Okay,
yeah, okay, yeah. That's the one we're talking about. Okay. Isn't that graphic? It's quite graphic.
This shit looks real.
Yeah.
I mean, the camera work that they did with that guy and what went on there, man. Oh, that is just About the time you think that bear was done with him, he wasn't done with him.
Yep. Yeah. Our days out in Montana, I had a few encounters. Fortunately, the family was back at the cabin, unsafe there,
Yes, I don't think I've seen that movie. I think I've just seen that clip on like YouTube clips or something.
Sure. Yeah, the whole movie is pretty. Yeah, it's worth watching. It's very well made, and it really does. They wrote the script pretty true to the account. And what the hell? How did that happen?
Oh, Nick went away.
Yeah, but I thought I had it on this setting. There we go. Easy fix.
Yeah, you didn't want to see us that up close.
Oh, don't you be picking on Nick.
I'm picking on Nick. I'm picking on you, and people don't want to see you that close.
Hey, watch it.
Great.
They come here for my good looks, Yeah.
What?
Yeah. What, you ain't buying that?
Well, I mean, unless a lot of your subscribers have white canes and shit. I don't know.
I tell you what, picking on blind people now.
He hides behind a do-rag, some sunglasses, and a big bushy beard.
It's the Gandalf beard that makes people, come and they're like, "Hey, he probably knows stuff."
Yeah.
I always said
wise man.
I always said I'd make a perfect wise man, one that sat way up at the top of the mountain, very, very difficult to get to me, you know, where you're going to spend days climbing that frickin' mountain. You get to the top and I'll ask you, why did you climb all the way up here? And they'd say, but Sty, you're such a great wise man. I came here for some of your wisdom. And you know what I'd tell them? A wise man would have kept his ass down there instead of climbing up this goddamn hill to ask me a question. Yeah. Go back down there and think about the stupid shit you just did. And by the way, don't do it again. But go ahead and send a couple more. I like company.
Yeah. Bring offerings.
Yeah, bring offerings. Tell the next guy to bring me some banana bread or some shit like that, you know. Stuff I can't get up here. Oh, and by the way, I'm short on smokes.
Yeah. Well, and I could see it, you know, Sty sitting out there in front of this little shack, you know, people coming up there with, you know, jerky and, you know, veggies and, you know, food and stuff for Sty, and, you know, he's all thankful and stuff. And they leave, and then he goes around, fires up to Jenny. He's got his satellite internet, you know, playing PlayStation
and eat my jerky and little Debbie's that they brought me. Yeah. You got it figured out there, bud. Yeah. Yeah. Can tell you grew up in my house.
It's all about priorities.
They show that guy that moved into the woods for a long time, hand-built cabin, always done primitive. Yeah. Yeah. You know, and the thing is, you know, and I tell people, like the movie, The Wilderness Family, they actually came out with, what was it, 3 movies?
Mm-hmm. I have them.
Yeah. And they're fun movies to watch, but it's the biggest crock of shit in the world. I did some research on that family because that family actually was part of the inspiration to get me to move my family to northwestern Montana. I wanted to live like that off grid. And did you know, in fact, that Wilderness Family, husband, wife, and 2 kids, they were flown into this cabin. They put $25,000 into that cabin to winterize it, to make it as modern as possible off grid. Every single month, all of their foodstuffs, any medical, anything they ever wanted or needed was flown into them every month. And they had everything they had in town. I mean, it was all BS. And this running through the mountain flowers with mountain lions. I guarantee your ass, your kids are out there running through wildflowers and you're out front, you're running, and the mountain lion with her cubs is running with you. She's eyeballing one of them kids to feed her cubs. It ain't all this Walt Disney bullshit. I took my family up in the backcountry for a year. Running water can attest. There was nothing. There was nothing.
There was
easy.
What, like $80 worth of tar paper added to that shack?
Oh, I don't even think. I don't even think that. I don't. Yeah, I think I think I worked for 2 days down in town to get that tar paper. Our wood stove, old wood stove, I found in an old trapper's cabin, and I put on my back and walked through the frickin' snow up to my nipples, all the way back to the cabin. And my ex-wife, that don't like being out in that shit, she was thrilled like I bought her a brand spanking new Maytag appliance, you know. And it was an old rusty 55-gallon drum wood stove. Well, that stove didn't work worth a shit. I ended up burning a big hole in the back of it. So I took one of my rifles and I hiked, well, to the outpost. That was beyond Knoxon, so it was probably about 10 miles from the cabin. I hiked to this store called the Outpost, and he was a pawn shop, grocery store, gun dealer. And I traded him a rifle for $60 worth of groceries and a sheet metal stove. And I hauled all that shit on my back all the way back up that fucking mountain. And my family was doing backflips, man. That stove's half the size, puts off twice the heat. It's only 41 degrees in our cabin. Running water remembers. You wake up in the morning and you're going, Dad, we can't get out of bed. Can't get out of bed. Help, the blankets are frozen to the floor. Yep. I'd have four kids stuck in their bed because their blankets froze to the floor. They couldn't get out from under their blankets.
Yep. First thing every morning was, you stand the mattresses up against the wall so the frost would melt and dry off the bottom of the mattress.
That's it. You've got to stand the mattress up so that the heat from the wood stove would dry the mattress off.
And it opened up the floor space.
Running water, were you still a bedwetter?
No.
Oh, not up there. That's the quickest way to break a kid from wetting the bed. Take them out in the back country. It's like, oh shit, I peed the bed last night. Felt really good at the time. The next morning was a bitch.
Stuck to the mattress.
My ass cheeks were froze to the mattress.
And that wilderness family movies, them with with their wild animals. Only wild animal we had was Thumper. That little mouse that kept living up on the logs. That's it.
Yep. And they called him Thumper because he'd sit up there and he's scratching fleas, of course. And it's thump, 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 thump. He's thumping up there in the rafters of that cabin. You could hear that shit all night. Now there was a lot of daily things that happened in that situation. There's nothing like waking up in the middle of the night, hearing a cat going, and you're feeling this heavy weight on your chest, and you open your eyes, and that son of a bitch is about an inch away from your nose with a big ass mouse in his mouth, and the mouse is kicking, and he drops it in your fucking face. Hey, Dad, look at the mouse. Fucking cat. I should have killed the cat instead of the mice. I get up one morning. Everybody's bitching. It's cold in here, Dad. It's cold. We need a fire. I check. Oh, no, the wife stuck all the wood in the stove overnight. So I got to go outside. It's goddamn 5 below zero and miserable. And I'm still in the bunk warm, I don't want to get up. Oh, no. So I get up and I take my boots. First one went on just fine. Second one, I'm shoving my foot in there, and it would only go about 2/3 of the way in. There's something in the toe of it, and I thought, oh, shit, a bunched up sock down in the bottom of my boot. I should have been paying attention. Sitting about 5 feet away from me is that cat that threw the mouse in my face, and he's just watching me like, this is good, this is good. I shoved my arm down that boot, got my fingers down the toe, and I'm going, yep, it's a sock. I pulled it out. Great big ass mouse, all pissed off. It's still alive. He chased that son of a bitch in my boot and guarded that boot till I got up in the morning to try to put my foot in it. Yeah, that's the kind of shit that we dealt with all the time. We had good times.
My favorite was Boo Boo out there with the coyotes sitting out there in the middle of the field.
Trying to lure the coyotes into the field. Boo Boo wanted to kill coyotes. That's all he wanted to do. And he'd sit out in the middle. We had about a 4 to 5 acre open meadow, right? And he'd sit out in the middle of that meadow right at sunset. You could hear the coyote packs. And he'd start, brr, Brr. Well, them coyotes would come to the edge of the woods, and they'd love to lure them into the woods because the pack will get them, right? And he'd just sit there in the middle, watch the woods. And sure enough, a brave coyote would come part way out, and Boo Boo would stand up like he's going to chase him. That coyote would turn and run like hell back to the woods. And Boo Boo would sit down again and brr, brr. Here, brave coyote come back out a little closer. And he just let them keep doing that. Back and forth they'd go until that damn coyote was within about 10 feet of him. And then all of a sudden, instead of just standing up, he come from he was doing a break stand right there, man. His back feet, nose flying right on that coyote's ass. And if he didn't get a hold of that coyote before he hit the edge of the woods, Boo Boo would slam on the brakes and stop and bark at him and walk back out the center and sit down. There was no way he was going to let them get him into the woods. It was like, come out here, come out here. And I saw 3 at one time come out thinking they're going to take him on. But when he got up and they saw how actually big he was, it was just like, no. And you could hear him, yeep, 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 just heading back into the woods. Yep, brave old Boo Boo. The best one was, and I did a video, Sty story on that, was the 3 dogs in a cat house. Remember the A-frame house we had for the cats?
Yeah.
And then we had goddamn timber wolves come in and could hear them bastards howling, and they couldn't have been more than 50 yards away from the cabin. And all 3 of our dogs were outside. Well, we had this little lap dog, and then Dolly was a mid-sized dog, and then we had Boo Boo, who was a brute. I go outside to get the dogs in the cabin because I figure them wolves will tear them up. And I'm calling for the dogs, and they're not answering. I'm thinking the wolves already got them. And then I look, and I see Boo Boo's butt sticking out of this little A-frame house. It looks like a dog house, but it's small for cats. And it's only got a hole about that big in the front of it. But his big old butt sticking out of there. And I thought, Boo Boo, you freaking coward. You crawled in the cat house. And I'm thinking, where are the other 2 dogs? And I get a hold of Boo Boo's back legs, and I drag that big-ass dog out of that cat house. And he's just shaking. He don't like them timber wolves. And I look, all of a sudden, there's a head poking out of that cat house. And it's Dolly, the mid-sized dog. I reached in, got her by the collar, drug her ass out of there. I said, Jesus Christ, I can't believe the 2. Then all of a sudden, here comes the little one.
Yeah, baby.
Baby. We called her baby. She comes walking out, but her legs are all rubber. I think that was the first breath she got from the time they started backing in there. I don't know how 3 dogs got in that cat house. I mean, Boo Boo, the other 2, I can see maybe fit in there tightly. Boo Boo had to have been running and just slammed his ass right in there and just couldn't get his butt through the door. But the rest of them was in there on top of Dolly and Baby. And yeah, interesting. There was a time, went to town to, you got to feed your family. I cut a deal with some acquaintance of ours that I would slaughter, butcher, and wrap 2 steers for him. And what I'd get in exchange is some meat. I get the hides and all the bones, because all of the bones, I mean, those are 2 big steers. That's a lot of bones. The dogs are going to love them damn things, right? And all the meat scraps for the dogs. Basically doing it for a friend, and I just wanted something in return. And the hides, I figured, shit, I could sell those hides for about $50 a piece, green, without having to do anything with them. Well, I threw the hides in the back of my truck and all the bones, and we headed back up the mountain after 3 days in town, butchering those 2 steers, 2 people, the ex-wife and I. And we pull into our cabin. There's a game warden sitting there. And now this is after sunset. I hit him with the spotlight on my truck, and I just like saw the bit. And here I'm sitting with a 32 Winchester out my driver's window, driving. Reached up, flicked that spotlight on. It's right in his face, and I got a rifle pointed at him. I don't know who the hell's up there. What are they doing up here on the mountain? Well, he says, I got to talk to you about something. And I said, well, what's that? And he says, about the white-tailed deer that you had hanging in the cabin. We hadn't moved into the cabin yet. And I go, what white-tailed deer hanging in the cabin? And he goes, well, there was a rib cage hanging there. I go, oh, yeah. And he goes, and the hide was rolled up and up in the rafter. I go, well, yeah, so no critters can get it. And he goes, well, you're being charged with poaching, by the way. I go, I didn't poach that damn deer. I said, come on, let's go look at it. And he goes, no, don't have to. It's already in the back of my truck. I said, who in the hell ever told you could trespass on my property, go into that fucking cabin, because you couldn't see it unless you entered that cabin. I said, where's your search warrant, bud? You had no right to go in that cabin. I said, the head, the hide, and that rib cage were hanging in that cabin. He never asked me where the meat was. Well, that was all in the refrigerator in our camper. I'm glad he didn't find that. He would have taken it. Well, he walks down to my truck and he looks in the back with his flashlight in the back of the truck, and he's looking at the hides. And all of a sudden, out of this pouch on his belt, he pulls out this electric razor and he goes, and he writes something in a notebook. I go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm going to check these brands. Make sure you got a right to have these hides. I said, well, yeah, I got a right. I butchered these 2 steers for a friend of mine, and he gave me the hides. And he goes, well, every brand in the state of Montana is registered, and I'm going to find out if you have the legal right to have these hides. So he ran a check on it, and he says, nope, not coming back to you. And I gave him the name, address, and phone number of the person who owned the 2 steers. I said, call them. They have the brand certificates, and they'll tell you they got the certificates, and I'm sure they'll be glad to show them to you. And he says, okay. So he calls his dispatcher on the radio. I wish there was no radio capabilities up where we were. Dispatcher calls my buddy up, and my buddy's so nervous about the government when they said, oh, well, yeah, we're with such and such a department. We're checking on brands of what we consider rustled cattle. And we want to know if you have 2 steers with such and such a brand, if you have the certificates of those steers. And he goes, oh, fuck you, and hung up on him. I'm sitting on the mountain getting charged with cattle rustling. And he told him to F off. I'm like, no. I told the warden, I said, try again. Tell your dispatcher to tell him that you have me in custody. And then he'll talk to him. Well, he said, no, I'm not going to try again. And this and that, blah, blah, blah. Well, my buddy finally put 2 and 2 together. Oh, that must be Sty that they're after. So he called them back and told them, yes, I got the certificates, blah, 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 and this is what's going on. So they called and they said, nope, can't get him with cattle rustling. He has the right to have the hides. So the game warden said, well, you're still charged with poaching. He says, you're going to jail tonight. I said, you're not leaving my wife and 4 minor children up here in the Cabinet Wilderness alone while you're hauling me 75 miles away from here and locking me up in county jail. That ain't happening, bud. And he goes, oh, or what? We're going to have a gunfight? he says, it looks like it's a little unfair because I've got a gun and you don't. I said, I got one in my truck, right 15 feet in front of us there. And he goes, that's a long ways when I got a gun and you don't. I said, by the time you get your senses back to you and can find your gun, I'll already have mine in my hands. I said, you are not leaving my family on the mountain. He took me serious. I was surprised. He took me so serious, he totally forgot that at that point, he had the right then to search our camper. He would have found all that venison all prepared and in the freezer. And it was interesting. Yeah, we had shit like that happen up on the mountain quite often, you know.
So how did he come to the point where he actually went into your barn? What gave him the inclination to go in the barn and look for a poached deer?
Because someone in town had seen the cattle hides in the back of my truck, and one of them just happened to be the color of an elk. So they reported that I poached an elk.
Ah.
So with that report, and they don't actually need probable cause in that case. All they need is reasonable suspicion that you committed a game violation.
Mm.
So he poked his head in my cabin, popped the door open, poked his head in there, saw that rib cage hanging, because I had just finished butchering that before we went down to do the cattle. And it was just a bare rib cage hanging there. And then seeing that gave him the probable cause then to go all the way in and search the whole building. And actually gave him probable cause to search the camper, but he was too stupid. But in that court case, I managed to prove, and the judge told me, he says, if I find out you spread this shit around, I'm not going to be your friend ever again. He said, I managed to prove there's still a statute on the Montana books that's never been repealed, that if you're domiciled in the state of Montana and not accepting any form of state aid, now you can have federal aid, you could, get medical help or whatever through the feds, it doesn't matter. But if you're not accepting any form of state aid and you are a permanent resident and domicile living right there in Montana, you have the right to hunt and fish for sustenance, to feed yourself. And I proved that in that hearing. I lost the case, even though I proved I had the right to take a deer to feed my family. The reason I lost the case is I didn't get on the witness stand and take that position under oath. The judge was pissed at me. He kept asking me, are you forgetting something? Is there something you think you need to do? He can't give me legal advice, but he can hint that I'm missing something, And I didn't catch it. And so he had to rule against me. $325 is what he fined me, and he had the right to fine me up to $1,500. He fined me $325 and 1 year without hunting and fishing privileges. And he looked at the prosecutor and he says, the 1 year without hunting fishing privileges, even though that's what's on record, something tells me that's not going to stop him from hunting and fishing. I said, you're right, Your Honor, because if I'm not allowed to have a license, then a game warden shouldn't expect me to show him one when he catches me hunting or fishing, because I'm not even allowed to have one. So how the hell can I show one, right? And that statute says I can do it. Well, I went right to the treasurer's office and said, yeah, here, I was found guilty. I got to pay $325. Whipped out the $325. She gave me the receipt for paying my fine. So I'm all paid off. I don't have to think about it. Here comes the judge out and he goes, what are you doing? And I go, I was just paying my judgment off right away. He goes, "Are you kidding? I've been kind of waiting, thinking the clerk would come back and say, Sty wants to see you in your chamber." And I said, "For what?" And he goes, "To ask me to stay this sentence." He says, "Because if you would have come to me personally and asked me to stay the fine or even the 1 year, I could have done that. I could have stayed that. That's the judgment, but it can be stayed." And I said, "Well, can you do that then?" He goes, "Not now. You just paid it. I can't get it. I can't make them give it back to you now." He said, "You're stuck now, buddy." He says, "But you could have walked out of here without paying a cent." Damn it. Damn it. I told him, that won't ever happen again. Hey, Gary, good to see you. But yeah, that's one thing. My ex-wife years later would say, "Oh yeah, he put us through terrible hell out in Montana. We had to do this and do that, and do this and do that." Well, she sure wasn't bitching when we were out there. And I'll tell you what, she would wake me up before the sun would come up, and she'd say, do us a favor. Get your ass out there and shoot a deer this morning. Just get it into camp. I'll take care of it and go out there and get a second one." And she would. I go out there, shoot a deer, field dress it, drag it into camp. By the time I get back into camp with the second one, she'd have that first one all quartered out, cooling off, and ready to butcher by that evening. She did all that shit. She did it all, and never bitched. And she waited until years later to make it sound like for her it was a terrible, bad experience. But even Running Water can vouch that she didn't seem to have such a bad time while we were there. It was so after the fact that we have no choice but to question was, did she really have a bad time, or is she just kind of playing that out right now? The only thing I know she really disliked was having to homeschool.
Oh no.
She did good though. She did a good job. Running Water dropped. She did a good job homeschooling, but she just didn't like to do it. We split the courses up 50-50 between the two of us, and it went pretty good. Especially when we moved back to Wisconsin, quit homeschooling the kids, going to put them in public school, and they pre-test the kids to put them into the appropriate grade, because they didn't want to put them in a grade based on age. They wanted to put them in a grade based on their aptitude, And damn kids, all 4 of our kids tested a year ahead of themselves. And the school says, "Well, we changed our mind. We're going to put them in the class of their age," which was a pain in the ass when it came to Running Water, because he continued to always stay a year ahead of everybody in his class. And his teachers would give him grief all the time. "There's no way you could have passed the test that easy." Yeah. I just laughed at the teachers. Sorry. We taught our kids how to be taught. We couldn't teach them to be a senior in high school when they were grade schoolers, but we could teach them what they're going to have to do in those grades. How to be taught. You got it. That's one thing that my sister and her husband, I always will call them professional students. They were so good at post-secondary education in college. I think one of them had 8 years of college and the other had 11 years. And
can you hear all that ruckus?
Just a little bit of it.
All right.
grandbaby, ain't it?
No, it's my damn freaking 21-year-old daughter playing video games in the room next to me. Screaming like a 2-year-old.
Yep. Yep. Yeah, it's great to see you too, Gary. Screaming like a 2-year-old.
Oh, they get on those damn computers playing their video games. Now they're on computers. They're not on like PlayStations or anything like that. They're actually playing on the computers. And all three of them, including my oldest boy, who's not even in the house, all four of them get to playing with each other and one against one another. And it's just, it's sometimes it's who can make the most noise.
That's it. It turns into Ann and Cindy, don't it? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Most kids used to just go through junior high, then work at home. Schools today are set up for the industrial world. Yeah. My grandfather graduated the 8th grade, and he had his 8th grade exit exam. And I took that to one of my teachers when I was in high school and showed it to him. And he looked at it and he said, "Can I hang on to it for a few days?" I said, "Yeah, as long as I get it back." He took every question off that test because it covered every subject, that test. And he just duplicated every question. What was neat is that my grandfather had the teacher's edition of the textbook with the grading key in the back for that test. So I had the answers for that teacher also. And so he got all the answers, all the questions, all the answers. He tried 4 different classes. 2 of them were two classes were junior, 2 classes were seniors. He didn't have a single student pass the 8th grade test. 8th grade test from 1921, 22. They couldn't pass it. They couldn't answer they were getting most of the math questions wrong. The anything under the topic of English, they couldn't get right. Literature, structure, anything. And it was amazing. And history, they couldn't answer any of the questions on the history. And he said it was amazing. He took the test, and he said there's a total of all subjects together 200 questions. And he said, I fell 8 questions below getting a D on that test. And he's the teacher. He said something has changed. And now this is back in 1974 that I had this teacher that did that. He asked me if I wanted to try taking the test. I said, as long as I can have that book with me.
Right.
Yeah. Otherwise, the hell with that. No, my grandfather couldn't go past the 8th grade. He was so proud of himself because of his 9 brothers. He was the only one that made it to the 8th grade. Most of them only made it to the 6th grade. Because typically when you hit the 6th grade, you had to get on a farm you were working. There's no way in hell you can be going to school. You got work to do on the farm. You have a good night, TM. And that's it. You know, it's a different world. It's a different world now. Education back in those days, I truly believe they actually took it more serious. Education was very important to people back then. And to get as much out of that education as you can, as quickly as you can, because the odds were you're never going to graduate from a high school. The majority of our population, hell, we were only, what is it, Running Water, 20 miles out of the Twin Cities, Spring Park?
Yeah.
20 miles out of Minneapolis. My very first school when I went to school was a one-room schoolhouse. And they had built a new school right next to it. And halfway through my first school year, we moved into the new school. And so here we are in a major metropolitan city, and we're still going to one-room schoolhouses back in the 60s. So, and it was a whole different game. It was a whole different game, man.
Well, and I remember, noticing the difference of, when we moved up to Wisconsin, from, us being homeschooled and the way we're being homeschooled, versus going to public school, with, when we were us kids were homeschooled, we're being taught, how to learn, how to, do your research, how to, study and remember.
Yeah.
Whereas get that transition then, in 88, going into the public school system, it's not like that. You're being taught how to take a test.
That's it. Yeah.
Yeah. Not how to study, not how to learn, how to pass this test I'm going to give you at the end of the week.
You need to remember the bullet points.
Yep.
Because that's what's on the test are those bullet points. You don't need to know. You don't need to know what any of it means. You just had better remember those bullet points.
Yeah. Whereas when we were being homeschooled by you and Mom,
you had to understand what you were saying.
It's like this is what we're studying, and the questions are going to be part of any of that or anything you learned before that. Good luck.
Right. That's it. Oh, I can remember some of our exams for you kids literally would be the whole curriculum.
Mm-hmm.
So don't count on this test being a single topic. It might go across 3 or 4 topics throughout the curriculum.
And if we messed up on something that we should have learned before, well, we're going to spend time learning that again.
Well, that was
just
it.
Motivates you to, hey, you learned
get it right the first time.
Remember it.
Yeah, and that was one thing that I always appreciated was my frame of mind is I think in every school they should teach you to pass with a 100%.
Mm-hmm.
When I went to private school, you did not pass if you got a C. You had to have a C plus or better to pass. A C says, in their minds, was you're mediocre. A C plus says, well, you're better than mediocre. You're a little better than mediocre. We're going to let you keep moving on. But if you didn't get better than a C in an exam, guess what? They tell you go back and study. You saw the exam. I hope you remember what was in it. But you go back and study and get the right answers and take that exam again. And if you still didn't exceed a C, they tell you, well, guess what? You got to go back to them books. You got to study a little harder. And you could take that test 300 times if you had to until you passed it. You had to learn that information in order to pass that exam. They weren't going to just let you slide through it. Oh, he just made that C, he can slide through, or he made a D plus so he can slide through. No, there was no sliding through. You had to do better than mediocre or they weren't going to let you move on. And when I went back in the old days, the Dakota County Vocational Truck Driving School that takes 6 months, we were required there. Every exam had to be passed 100%. You weren't allowed to get a single question wrong, but you were allowed to take that test as many times as you needed to in order to pass that test. And that was the key, is when they gave you your test results, they'd tell you which questions you got wrong. They wouldn't give you the answers, but they tell you which questions you got wrong. They give you a list of, this is what you got wrong. Well, why learn something you got right, right? They give you what you got wrong, and you go and research it, get the answers, get them embedded in your mind, come back, take the test again. And if you didn't research one thing quite well enough and you got 99 out of 100 questions right, guess what? You got to go back, figure that one question back out, come back, take that test again, because you got to pass with 100%. And it was nice because the 85% of the graduates from Dakota County Vocational Truck Driving Training School signed on with large carriers at experienced driver rates. They didn't have to go out there and get their first 150,000 under their belt to be making a decent wage, you know. Right. They got to walk right into that decent mileage rate, and it was good because the school put that into us that, you know, you can excel, you can become 100%. It's not impossible, and they expected that of every one of us, you know. And so it wasn't like it was being unfair or anything. And we knew when we walked in that very first day, that's what the rules are. Yeah. Yeah. Gary, in fact, for your grade, if in that course, when you went to get your CDL, if you showed up at that course with a CDL, they put you through their own road test, and you had to pass their road test at 90%. When you went to the state to get your CDL while you're taking their course, they take you and you use their truck. They trained you to operate that truck and how to pass that driver's test. You better get a 90% from the state. So if you got a bad test giver, you could be screwed. You're going to have to go back because you got to pass with a 90. And if you pass with an 80% at the state level, that means you got to take the school's test and pass that at a 90%. So it was good. I was good with that. There was a few other students that said, like, that's bullshit. You know, nobody's perfect and this and that. Well, no, you're not being perfect. You're just making sure that you're in the know, you know, that you got those answers to those issues, you know. Hey, you have a good night, James. Give Sis a big hug for me. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I can't wait till next season. If I can get the improvements to my trailer done, by golly, it's going to be pretty comfortable out there.
Well, and I was going to talk to you about that. I know you were wanting to have like a desk built in.
Yep, that triangular nose. Well,
yeah. Well, it's something I was thinking about.
It's my battery compartment is what that is, with a desktop on it.
Right. Well, something I'm getting is a welder, a wire feed welder. What if we did like an angle steel frame up for it that you can build the desk around over, frame it up into that corner with, just.
I don't want to have to buy the iron.
You don't have to, because I'm going to be buying iron for other projects I'm working on.
And I'm not a welder.
Well, I can weld, but something to consider.
Going to give me a warranty on
it? Sure.
Sure, he says.
Well, it's a lifetime warranties, yours or his, one of them.
Well, the thing is the thing is running water. If I, that's not a bad idea, but what I don't like is I have to tear into my wood walls to get to that steel to even be able to weld in it.
Well, I'm not saying welding to the trailer itself. I'm saying welding a unit that we can take into the back and put up in there. You know what I mean?
And then strap it to the walls.
Strap it to the walls, or even a couple screws to put it in there. But make that triangle wedge frame out that we can take and do woodwork over it. That would give you more stability.
Yeah, I'd have to drill through the wood and the iron to bolt it together.
Right.
To bolt the wood to it. That's a possibility. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's a possibility.
Because then,
at least for that lower unit up in the nose.
Right.
And because I wanted to be able to bear some pretty good weight, And
right.
I've got to have on the top, with iron, it won't be taking up as much space as dimensional lumber. Because the top, I just need a center bar from the point of the trailer to the 90, and then have two triangle hinged panels. The desktop would be two triangles that would hinge up that I can access the battery compartment.
Right.
But I was looking at it. Looking today, I'm going to get another inverter. I'm going to get another charger. And I'll have my 4 chargers mounted on above that desk. I'll have both my inverters mounted above that desk. Everything's going to be hardwired, and I'm going to have the chargers are nice because they just got on and offs on them.
Well, so what size inverter were you needing?
Well, I was thinking of going with a 750. I got a 400 right now, but I was thinking of going with a 750 so I can run my flat screen and possibly my desktop and my laptop all off that one inverter.
Okay, because I was going to say I've got I think it's a 500 that's sitting there that I had gotten for the truck. That I had gotten for the truck, but then they gave me a truck that had a 2,500 watt inverter built in.
Yeah,
it's like oh, I don't need it, so it's still sitting in the box, never used, and I really
don't have it.
Yeah.
If it's a 500, I'd be interested. Yeah, okay. That would be slick. That'll save me $50. I can get an 800 for $50.
It's just collecting dust on the back porch right now, sitting in its shipping box.
Okay. When you come up, let's try to remember that. Crazy Ann, sweetie. We're doing good, girl. Yeah, Phil was whining about his kids screaming, playing video games upstairs.
You don't hear that shit no more, do you?
You went and talked to him, didn't you?
Maybe.
Hey, Mayberry. Hey, Heartsight.
You didn't hear any gunshot, did you?
What's that?
You muted. You didn't hear any gunshot, did you? No, it was muted. Never mind.
That's right. Shoot, shovel, and shut up.
Now, if you hear sirens and I go black, then you know what happened.
Oh, hey, here's something that happened out at camp.
Sam.
Hey, Samantha, sweetie. But here's something that happened out at camp that I'm not going to do a video about. But Phil went and shut that shit down. Yeah. So I have this guy come in with a beautiful, brand spanking new Ford F-350, pulling a huge hell are those silver campers called?
Airstream.
Airstream, yeah. Coming in with this huge Airstream, fully restored. It's just like brand new, this Airstream. He pulls in, and I notice as he's going by Texas plates, right? He finds a site that I have open, and he backs that Airstream in, gets all set up. And I walked up. Hi, Scott. Good to see you. I walk up and just said, hi, welcome to East Twin Lake. And he goes, I hope you don't have a problem with Texans in your campground. And I go, as long as you don't stay over 2 weeks, you're good. Because that's Forest Service policy. You can't stay more than 2 weeks at a time. And he goes, you don't need to try to be funny with me. He says, if you want real humor, he says, go to Texas. And I thought, oh, here we go. Son of a bitch. For 3 days, all I got to hear about was how worthless Wisconsinites are versus Texans. I got to the point where I came right out and asked him, I said, if you dislike us people in Wisconsin so much, what are you doing here? Why are you in our campground if you dislike Wisconsinites so much? And he goes, pretty country, stupid people. I said, yeah, we're kind of stupid letting Texans come in here, aren't we? This is no shit. He waits until 9:30, night before last, right? Boom, boom, boom. I mean, pounding on my trailer door. I damn near went through the roof and scared that by Jesus out of me. I opened the door and he's standing out there and he goes, I need to know, what the hell are you going to do about that guy across the lake that's playing that saxophone? I said, nothing. I said, if he's playing the saxophone, I put my earbuds in and listen to some music, real music. I said, because he ain't no good. And he goes, I'm not going to stay in a campground where I got to listen to that shit.
Bye.
And I said, that's your choice. I said, I can't stop him from playing the saxophone on his own private property. I said, we've already talked to Forest Service law enforcement. We've talked to the sheriff's department about this guy. I said, especially when he tries to play the flute. That scares the shit out of everybody. I said, but there's nothing we can do. If he's doing it at 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, we can. Sheriff's department will come and tell him, put it back in its case and shut the hell up. And if you keep playing it, we'll get you on a noise ordinance, because he's being disruptive late at night. But he does it. Every day he plays from 5 o'clock, and sometimes he'll make it till about 5:45, but he runs out of wind within a half hour, 45 minutes, and he quits playing. So you just got to put up with that half hour, 45 minutes. And that guy says to me, what's wrong with you people up here? He says, I go to campgrounds for the peace and tranquility.
Shut the fuck up.
And I told him, I said, then why are you ruining mine? And he goes, what do you mean by that? I said, it's 8:30. It's dark. I don't hear any saxophone or flute. All I hear is you bellowing at me to do something about a private citizen that I have no right to even go say anything to him. I said, you do realize you aren't in the wilderness. You're not boondocking way out in the sticks. You're camping at a campground that has 5 private homes on the same lake. I said, your expectations are totally unreasonable. He says, Texans aren't unreasonable. They just know what's right and wrong. And I said, I am so sorry. But you must be the only Texan then that's wrong. Because you're totally wrong.
What's up, Dennis?
And hey, Dennis, good to see ya. And he goes, well, it's going to be a cold day in hell if I ever come back to this campground. And I said, I'll be out of here before that happens. He didn't get it. He didn't get it. And sure as shit, that next morning, and you're supposed to be quiet till 6 a.m. 5 o'clock in the morning, I could hear him over there with his impact driver raising the levelers on his trailer. Clang, bang, 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 clang. 5 o'clock in the morning. And he comes pulling out. I got up and I walked out to the edge of my campsite as he drove by, and I stood there. I hope he enjoys his ride back to Texas. I've got family in Texas, and not one of them's an ass like that. I mean, yeah, this guy didn't really have a problem with me. He had a problem with the whole state of Wisconsin. Well, with the people. He loves the state, hates the people. I thought, man, can you imagine going through life being that bitter and pissed off about everything? I mean, holy God.
Every now and then you just got to take a minute. And I get the same way at times. Every now and then you got to take a minute. You got to take a deep breath. You got to think about what's important and what's not important, and just forget about it.
Yeah,
you know, I've had some stuff recently, and it's just like, you know what? Here's what I want to do. Here's probably what I should do. I just got to let it go.
Yeah,
I just got to let it go. So
that's it. It's some of it. There's times where I just want to say something, and then I stop myself and say, but what's the aftermath if I do? Do I really want to go down that path? And
you want to keep it going?
And have to put up with more misery?
Right.
Instead of feeding the fire, I starve it.
Yeah.
Let it go.
And
let it run off my back.
And I ain't always that smart, but sometimes, I just like, you know what? For me, sometimes when I'm upset, it helps me to write it down. Write something down, write it down, write down what you would like to say, write down what you would like to do.
Oh, I did. I've actually done some videos. I've set my camera up and sat in front of my camera, and that rotten son of a bitch, I tell you what about this guy. And so when I'm dead and gone, Running Water starts looking through my old archives. You might run across some of those videos. And my old partners,
all that shit.
My partners out at the old camp, I did about a 2-hour pissed off rant in a video just because I didn't have anybody else to bitch to. I bitched at the camera for 2 hours. And then I went and rewatched it and kind of laughed at myself because half of it was just emotion, It's just I was just pissed, And the other half of it was, it was true. Probably needed to be said, but I knew if I said it, it would just create more trouble, And so I never said it. But yeah, it's true. Sometimes you just have to find a way to throw that crap out, so that you don't have to deal with it. It's not worth dealing with. Dennis had his first of the season show.
Yeah, on Tuesday. Yep.
Yeah, and I wasn't able to watch it.
I was somewhere else too.
Yeah, you were, weren't you?
Yeah, well,
21090 night.
21090 is Tuesday nights, and it's tough. I'd like to be watching Dennis, but most everyone I see, Dennis is like the only person I know over at Canoe Hound Adventures, So
yeah.
I support him. I support Dennis, but at the end of the day, I'm going to be where my friends are. So sucks, but it is what it is. On one of those nights.
Any channel out there that I was supporting them through memberships, and they were dropped by me. Don't sweat it. Come November, I'll be picking you guys back up. Yeah, there were more associated costs with me living in two places at once than I had anticipated, and my channel membership dropped off during the summer, starting to pick up a little more again. But yeah, that's the thing, is I support when it's there to be able to do it, And there's a couple channels like Phil's, and I've got to support him as long as I'm breathing, man. He's been there from day one. That's the way it feels. Yeah. I've been up for 6 years, but Phil and I go back more than 2 years now. Yeah. So it's, yeah.
Yeah, when we both got memberships, we were both members on each other's channels. One of the first few on each other's channel has been there ever since. So,
hey, Phil.
Hey,
who won the seltzer that night?
Eileen.
Did she really?
Yeah. See, here's the thing. Eileen was broke, but Eileen is always supporting.
Right.
Everyone.
And there were a lot of folks helped her out by entries. Yeah.
Well, she got 4 from
Oji-san, wasn't it?
Oji-san, and then 3 from for someone else. So she had 7 entries without a dime out of her own pocket. So I mean,
yeah,
you know what? And there's proof positive that if you're generally a good person and you do what you do, it comes back. If you're generally a shitty person, guess what?
It comes back. Yeah. What comes around goes around. Oh God, he passed me shit. I'm gonna pass it right back over to him. That's yeah. No, and that's so true. That's like that hoodie, that black hoodie I won from you. That one, that's my Sunday go to meeting hoodie. The green one sitting over here, and that bugger shows a whole summer of camping, man.
Does it?
Yeah. But I wear that around camp a lot. People are always asking, who's that? Hey.
They're meant to be worn, man. They are meant to be
worn. That's a buddy of mine. You gotta check him out.
Yep, they're not dress suits. They're hoodies.
Yeah, right.
Like my t-shirts and stuff. Wear that shit.
Yeah, that's it. Now, the black one though, when I won that one, I put one entry in. And pulled my name up. And I was sitting on your panel at the time. And I was like, what the hell? I don't win shit. I never win.
You don't win if you don't play.
I always say, if it's a drawing and the person's trying to cover their overhead for what they're giving away and that, like, I'm going to try to help him out so he can afford to do that, And I never think that I'm going to win, ever. And that night when my freaking name came up on that hoodie, it was like, that don't seem right, man. It almost seems like a conspiracy or something. Because I don't win shit.
I was on 21090's live stream 2 weeks ago. And not only did I beat 21090 in the top 10, but then when they gave away something at the end and they spun the wheel, my name came up. My repertoire.
There you go.
Yeah, that's why I'm drinking this rare breed rye.
Oh yeah.
I won this through that. And again, I want to say, usually I'll go in there and throw down a $10 super chat to win something. And if it's something I really want, I'll throw down a little bit more. But other than that,
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, and that's the way I treat those kind of things. And it's embarrassing in a sense, but Cole with Cole's Outdoors, he's fairly handicapped veteran, and he's got a great outdoor channel, but he hasn't been able to do a lot of content. There's things with his disability and family life and things that interfere, and he has a hard time sometimes keeping his channel up and running. But he was running live streams for the longest time, and he had this show that all the fishermen went to, and you'd chat with them and stuff. And he really pointed you out. If you were out in the chat, man, he was shouting you out. He was just a great guy. Well, he loves to enter bass fishing tournaments in Michigan. And he wanted a kayak, a good sit-on, large enough kayak to use it in some of these bass tournaments. Well, with kayak, you can get into some good bass waters that these other bigger boats can't get in. And that was one thing he was looking forward to. He also wanted to catch a sturgeon from a kayak. Problem was this guy's, he's living on VA disability. I mean, he don't have no big income or nothing. Well, he makes custom fishing lures, and he made this musky buzzbait custom. Awesome. It's hanging in my trailer down there right now. Haven't caught a muskie yet, but I will someday with that. He decided to start a raffle using that buzzbait, that custom buzzbait, as the prize to try to generate enough revenue to help him buy the kayak he needed. Well, there was all kinds of good reasons to help him out. He's a vet. He's disabled. He's sincere. He's a real person. He's not some fake. And he's living check to check to check to check. So I was flush at that time. I was very flush at the time. The entries were $5 entries. Well, I had $150 worth of entries. Guess who won the lure?
There you go.
But through that whole raffle, he managed to generate, I believe it was $650. And he was able to buy himself about $1,000 kayak. And he was thinking he could only buy about a $400 or $500 kayak. So I didn't even think I was going to win that lure, because somebody with a single entry could have gotten it, But everybody was like, Jesus, Stein's got the most expensive muskie lure in the whole country, $150 for one lure. Well, yeah. And I've had people look at it and go, hey, and they go to reach for it. Don't you touch that, son of a bitch. That's no. Why isn't it in your tackle box? No, it's got to be right where I can see that son of a bitch all the time. Oh, guess what? You see something missing on that hand? I'll show you both hands, and you can probably guess what's missing.
You smoking with your right hand now?
Can you see the line here?
Mm-hmm.
My Montana agate ring. I lost so damn much weight it fell off.
Oh no!
And I can't find the son of a bitch.
Damn it!
It's in my camp someplace, and I searched all over. I even got the metal detector out. I took a leaf.
You probably lost it in the shitter wiping your ass.
No, because I know.
I checked that too. What?
I know the time period in which it disappeared, and I hadn't left my campsite in that time period.
Maybe it's in a pocket of a pair of pants.
I've checked those.
Damn, you
the
just
thing.
Well, how you shut up then?
I'm trying to tell you, I lost the fucker. It's still lost.
Trying to give you ideas of places you may have lost.
This isn't a lost and found story. But that ring.
The lost and found out there in the campground? Maybe
that ring.
Lost and found.
that ring was, yeah, that was very important to me. Running water, I'll tell you, I've been wearing that son of a bitch for years. Well, ever since Montana. It was on this hand, but then when I got divorced, I decided I'm married to the outdoors, so I wore it on where my wedding band once upon a time was. Now I lost my wedding band, and you know what? When I realized, oh shit, I lost my wedding band. Fuck it.
I
I
lost a woman years ago, so
I never started looking for it. Oh, I laughed my ass off on Fox. On the 5. I was watching the 5, and what's her name? I can't remember her name, but she's got her dog Jasper. Well, Jasper died. They found out Jasper had cancer. He's 9 years old, that poor pooch. So they had to have him put down. So they did a show, a Fox 5 show about Jasper. It's pretty cool, pretty cool. And they asked Jesse Waters, they were asking each one of them what type of memories they had about Jasper, right? Mm-hmm. And they asked Jesse Waters what kind of memory he had about her dog Jasper, and he said, well, he went to her and her husband invited him to their place for dinner, and he said, I ended up asking if I could spend the night. And they put me in their fold-out couch because I had a few too many glasses of wine during dinner and didn't think I could get home. And he said, I woke up in the middle of the night, and I can honestly say I think I'm the only one on this panel other than her that can say I slept with Jasper. The look on people's faces, that ain't good to say something like that out loud. I slept with that dog. And now I don't remember who the other guy was. They got to him. And he was talking about he's not a dog lover. They got 3 dogs, but he's not a dog lover.
Gutfeld?
It wasn't Gutfeld. This guy's liberal. He's got light gray hair. I can't.
Okay, I couldn't tell you him. They bring one. They got one of those on
the liberals. Yeah. But he says, I'm a dog lover now. We have 3 dogs. He said, I didn't become a dog lover until I married my wife. Holy shit, the whole panel lost it. They were Gutfeld point out, laughing. He goes, boy, are you in trouble, man. I didn't become a dog lover until I married my wife.
That's not a good statement to make.
No, I got a feeling she was a pit bull when he got home after the show. Uh-huh. Yeah. Oh, so you love dogs after you met me, eh? Ooh,
so
shit.
Did you hear what was it last week or week before last that the Gutfeld show was actually had the most views on a nightly show. So he threw out like Jimmy Kimmel and all that other crap.
Yep. Yeah, the Gutfeld show. I watched all of his shows.
I love it on YouTube. I don't see it when it's live. So
when it's live, me either. I catch it on YouTube the next day or a few hours after the show.
Yep.
But yeah, the Gutfeld show is pretty funny. His guests are always good. They got good input, but they're funny too.
Oh yeah. He's about being funny.
Hey, Gypsy and Vanilla Gorilla. Great to see you.
They've only been here for 20 minutes, but that's okay, Sty.
Yeah. Hey, I might be slow.
You are slow.
But, damn it, I'm old.
Yep.
Hey, look at what John and Jan from Adventures in the Heartland brought me. If you know Roy and Becky's Travels,
heard of them.
They pop in here often. They'll say a few things, then they got to move along.
Sty, hold your hand up.
What?
Hold your hand up. He was looking like Jesus Christ. He looked like he had a hole in his hand. Go ahead. I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, if I have to prove that, see this water behind me?
Go walk on it. There you
I'll
go.
just go take a stroll. But they brought me. Oh, that one won't work because of the blue screen. But I got
closer to the camera.
Oh,
Maybe
Jesus.
There you go.
They got this die cut sticker is awesome, and then
That's cool.
Give me this round sticker of theirs.
That's cool.
Their logo's great, but that was surprising. You know, I'd love to meet Roy and Becky in person. John and Jan did get to meet them in person. They are usually down in Arizona. They camp down there in their RV.
It's fucking hot down there.
And they camp it's a free campground. Well, you can't really call it free because they don't pay for a site there. But for $180 a month, they get water at their site and garbage service for $180 a month. Well, shit. Oh my God, would that be nice compared to what I pay for rent for this apartment that I only use one night a week? That's what I was telling my supervisor. I said, if they were to provide me with the 100-pound cylinders, the 90s, you know, the big cylinders of propane, I'd need one of those every month. But if they were to provide me with one of those, I'd stay in that campground straight over the winter, and I'd give up my apartment. I'd get a storage unit, move all my shit in the storage unit, just stay in the campground the whole winter. And they, he actually looked like he was thinking about it. It was like, oh shit, I shouldn't be saying that crap. They're gonna have me. That next thing I know, they'll be saying, hey, if you want to build a log cabin, go for it. You old fucker, you're stupid. Yeah. The not having dinner with John and Jan. No. The Cheesehead, I know you can't wait to see me in person. Yeah. I'd love to be able to sit, Cheesehead, and just you and I just BS. Hey, don't plan on a big meal when you come to see me. John and Jan, they bought these two. All right. The 2 T-bones they bought. I didn't say it to them. But in our neck of the woods, those are called huge porterhouse steaks.
Yeah.
And I mean huge for porterhouse. No, they're just T-bones. Well, they got them for $9 a piece, and them bastards had to weigh close to 2 pounds a piece.
Holy shit!
Yeah, no shit. And
did they steal them?
No, it's this store they stopped at down in southern Wisconsin on the way up to see me, and they said, "So we're going to cook steaks over the fire tonight." Blah blah blah. It didn't work out. We BS'd way too long, and it got colder than shit. Nobody had started a fire yet. So they just fixed a quick meal, and we called it a night. Yeah. The porterhouse has.
You can't buy hamburger for
no. You couldn't have bought as much hamburger as each steak was for $9 at a shot. At least good hamburger.
I always wanted one of those tomahawk steaks.
Oh yeah,
that'd be good.
Yeah,
I just don't want to spend money for it.
But back to what I'm trying to tell you about.
Sorry.
Cheesehead. Yeah, he's in West Glacier right now. Lucky bastard. But anyway, that's why I'm telling Cheesehead when we get together, don't plan on eating, really, because John and Jan cooked up those 2 big steaks their last night at camp, and I literally would have eaten what I guess you would consider 4 bites of steak. And I was full. I was done. I eat like a freaking bird now. I just don't. Tonight I had 2 taco size flour tortillas with my favorite chicken salad in them. I had those two, and I'm stuffed. I still feel stuffed. My stomach has shrunk to the point where I figured it out. I only take in between 800 and 1,000 calories a day, and I'm 3 times more active than I have been for a whole year before that. So, and I cut my calories in more than half. So, cut my food intake and calories more by half, became 3 times more active, and now I weigh about 176 to 178 pounds, where I was 225 on May 1st going to camp. So people say, well, what's with all the weight loss? Well, that kind of explains it, don't it?
Yeah.
Only 800 calories of food per day and a lot of exercise. Yeah, that kind of does it, you know. And I don't snack a lot. I do like to snack. My favorite snack right now is caramel bugles.
Bugles are cool. I like bugles.
The caramel ones are the frickin' die for.
Yeah.
But I only eat about 6 or 8 of them. I'm done. And I roll that bag up, put the clip on it, and tomorrow night I'll have 6 or 8 more. So
you get that flavor that you crave.
Yeah. TM. Our steaks would cook right over that campfire on the grill.
My wife was watching a thing when we were eating dinner where they took all this butter and they cooked steak with 300 degrees or 300 Celsius butter, and they seared it, and then they did this thing with the butter where they laid it out on this big flat pan or like skillet type thing, and they took these, they cut it down to maybe where it was like probably a quarter or half inch thick, and they cooked it on this big thing along with their baguette bread and everything else. But it looked phenomenal. I mean, it looked like it was, it's one of those things you would never do. You'd never spend all that money on the butter and all that stuff and everything else to do it, but it looked phenomenal. And she's like, who would take all that time to do it? I says, well, restaurants do. That's why when you go to some of these restaurants, you'll pay $50 for a steak or a meal or whatever per person, because they take that much time and that much care into putting stuff together.
I gotta do this. Guys. Canoe Hound, you still got my email address. I need you to email me your address and type it, space like it would appear on the envelope. I misplaced yours. I need it because I got something I'm sending you, man. This bag is
a see-through bag.
Yeah, it's a see-through. It's got a bunch of invisible shit in it.
Damn.
The
see-through boxers you don't want. I'm just saying.
Oh, fuck! You can't see through that shit. I hate this lighting in here. I gotta fix that shit. Maybe this will help. No, fuck. Anyway, it's a bag, and it's only for Canoe Hound, guys. Don't anybody ask, because I'm all out of this shit. But it's a bag packed full of Smokey the Bear regalia, swag, a ton of Smokey the Bear swag in here for you.
That's cool.
You mentioned in one of my streams, oh, I'd love me some Smokey the Bear swag. I'm a Smokey the Bear fan. I've got it for you, buddy.
You got tube top in there?
Yes.
A tube top. Is that the face thing?
That's a gator.
And you got to stretch that motherfucker out to make it a tube top. Woo!
No. Yeah, he might be able to use it as a cock sock.
I wonder
if he folds it in two or something.
I wonder if I can stretch that thing out to make it a tube top for me.
Ain't possible, man. I'd have to send you 4 of those. You'd have to cut them all in half and stitch them together, man.
I don't know, man.
You'd be surrounded by Smokies.
I don't know.
I
remember years ago taking my son's baseball jersey he was probably in like middle school or something, and he was probably wearing like an adult small. And I was in the bedroom, like, oh, let me put this thing on. I took my shirt off and I put that thing on, and obviously I'm bigger now, but I put the thing on. It was like, yeah, it came like just like above my belly button and everything else. It's like, yeah, this looks great. There's a picture out there somewhere.
That's it. Yeah, and I looking good.
Yeah, there's a picture out there somewhere.
This is no shit, man. My pop, he was in the Navy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he had his dress blues. Well, when he passed away, I was 12 years old. At 13, I was cocky, and I mean, I didn't look 13. I had a mustache and a full goatee, and I had a standing tab at one of our local bars. I was a bad 13-year-old. Well, I found his Navy dress blues, right? I put them sons of bitches on at 13. And I went strutting around in them damn things. Shit. 16 button front. You know, these are old bastards. That was World War II, man. and I got away with it. A couple of the vets that knew me, they'd laugh and they'd point at me and they'd say, you know what, you can get away with that. Because nobody your age was around when they come out with that uniform. he said, so you can't be imitating nobody. He says, you ain't old enough to imitate the person that would have wore that. Well, when it was the first year I was married. I was 18. I come across him again because I had stashed him away, you know. Come across him again. I thought, I'm going to show him off to the wife. Jesus. Out of 16 buttons, I was able to get 3 of them buttoned. That pullover fucking top, man, I got that son bitch on top of me and my arms in it and just maybe above my eyebrows through the neck hole. And I started screaming for fucking help. I couldn't get out of the son of a bitch. I couldn't get it on. I couldn't get it off. I was screaming, help, fuck, help. She helped me get that thing off, and she goes, she's holding up. She goes, Jesus Christ, where'd you get that? That's for a kid. And then I realized, I said, hey, hon, take a look. Went and grabbed her photo albums, pulled up a picture of my pop, and I said, these belong to him.
Yeah.
My dad was 5'4" and weighed 285 pounds.
That's heavy.
Yeah, no shit. He was just about as big around as he was tall, and he was our chief of police. But how the hell did he ever get in that? Man, was he a scrawny little fucker in the Navy. That's, you know, and that's it. Is I've seen so many vets that at the VFW hall, I used to go there and clean and help out around the VFW hall. And they had a nice bar there. And I helped them there and the American Legion back and forth. You know, it was just a thing you do in our family. You donate some help to the two organizations. But at the VFW, man, we had some of these old boys from, this one old guy, I swear to God, he was in the Spanish War, for fucking sakes. But they're wearing their old fucking uniforms, and they just fucking sleeves coming halfway up their fucking arms and their pant legs. They look like knickers instead of goddamn pants. Their high water's almost halfway to their knee. And oh yeah, but they're proud to wear that old uniform into the VFW hall and sit and have a few beers, you know. And I can remember thinking, you know, it is cool. It's cool. They're wearing something from 40, 50 years in the past, 60 years for some of them. They're in their 80s and they're still wearing the old uniform. And it's funny, the older they got, the more the uniform fit them. they start losing all of the weight and everything, and all of a sudden they start looking good in uniform again. I always thought that was so awesome. Zoot suits. My mother, and it pisses me off because I wish I had it to pass on to running water. During World War II, my mother worked in a place called Warehouse K, and all they did was make ammo boxes for World War II. And she was a spot welder in an ammo box factory throughout the war. And she kept a World War II scrapbook. And that thing was about running water. I don't know if you ever got to see that, but it was about 4 inches thick, and it had, from their local newspaper, every single article of the current events in the war from 1941 till the end of 45. Everything in there. Plus, she had these huge panels in there that were actual recruitment posters, small colored posters of every single uniform for every branch and every single rank. Not just for the boys overseas, but for all the women too. It was amazing the different amount of uniforms that were involved during World War II. It was insane. She had like 16 pages were just all the different uniforms. Each page had about 20 different uniforms on it. And it's like, why in the hell do they have over 200 types of uniforms for the 4 branches, It was amazing. I loved that scrapbook, man, growing up. I'd sit for days reading those articles and looking at the photographs from World War II, and it ended up getting water damaged, and she tossed it, and I told her, no, don't toss it, no. She did. It was a shame. But yeah, because something like that, I mean, there's a lot of World War II museums would have loved to have gotten her scrapbook.
Oh, sure. Even with the water damage on it.
Yes.
It's not worth as much, but for people to be able to see that.
Yeah. And that was my position on it, is if people were able to at least see it and experience it, my father, I've got his burial flag, his very first original shield. I even have a matchbook of his campaign in 1951. Well, no, that would have been 1950, I believe, as constable of our town. And then in 51, he became chief of police. And he technically was our first and last chief of police of that community. So it was from 1951 to 1969. And all of his shields, because he'd get a new shield every year, all of his gold shields, all of his name tags, all of that regalia were given to specific people to hold in trust, in a sense. And a historical society in our hometown got a hold of me, and I told them who these people were that were given those things in trust, and they've managed to recover almost 60% of those items, and now they're on display in a historical museum in that community. And they went so far as they had built a city park under his name, and they went in and did a full renovation of the park, put a monument up with a big historical plaque now under it that talks about him being the chief of police of the community and all that shit. So that's, that's the way things used to be in this country. You know, if you did something, God, when I was growing up, on Memorial Day, holy God Almighty, you didn't go on vacation someplace on Memorial Day. You took vacation so you could hang out in our town at the Memorial Day, the Community Memorial Day celebration. And you had the fire department, the police department, the VFW hall, and the American Legion putting on the biggest damn steak fry you ever seen. And it would cost you $2. And you got yourself this big ass steak and the sides, all these sides and desserts, everything with it for $2. And most people give them $5. Because all that money went to those organizations, then they put that money back into the community and back to veterans, back to people that were struggling, you know, because we didn't need welfare programs back then. We took care of our own. We took care of our own, and we did it well. We did it well. There were very few people I ever saw that were suffering. You know, they may not have a lot, but they were happy with what they had. And if they didn't have enough to get by, the community was providing it, you know. Yes, he did tote a .38 service revolver. He had a nickel-plated Smith & Wesson. I hate going down that road. Yeah. He was pretty well known for packing his .38 Smith & Wesson. It was a long barrel. It wasn't a stub nose. And he only had to clear leather with it 3 times in his whole career, which is pretty good. Yeah. Especially when we were only 20 miles out of Minneapolis. That was pretty good record. But that revolver went to a foundry and was melted down and then poured out on a huge anvil, and it was hammered into a sheet, and then it was heated and rolled into a solid steel bar, and it was taken out to a community called Minnetrista, where their city hall is, and it was driven into the ground. And it's going to be there for eternity. And we wanted it destroyed and out of sight and out of mind, and let people, when they find whatever remains there is of it, try to figure out where in the hell and how in the hell it ever got there. Because that beautiful .38 Smith & Wesson had pearl grips on it, by the way. A regular redneck sheriff's type pistol, you know. But that .38 made his career, and it ended it. Yeah, he used it on himself. So yeah, quite an ordeal around that handgun. Yeah. But yeah, .38 service revolver. He had a .357, but he wouldn't carry it. He says he'll pop somebody 3-4 times with that .38 instead of once, and really fuck them up with his .357. So he liked the .38. He always figured, if I got to pull that gun, it's going to be close in. We're going to be close in. I'm not going to have to shoot at some guy running down the damn road. I'm going to be shooting him about 5 feet in front of me.
Right.
Yeah. So he did not like the fact a lot of officers, before he was done with the PD, started packing .357s and .44s. Guys carrying .44s. You couldn't carry a .44 on his department. In his department, he wouldn't let you. You could carry a .357, but not a .44 mag. Yeah. And no semi-autos. Yeah. But he had a whole different mentality when it came to the police force. Nowadays, we hear it all the time: defund the police and create these public peace officers instead of having cops, law enforcement officers. Well, no, I want the officers we had in the 1960s. My father was never a law enforcement officer, and he'd make it perfectly frickin' clear to everybody: I can't enforce the law. The judge can do that. He'll enforce it. All I can do is provide for the peace in my community. And if that means I got to use force to make things peaceful, that's what I'll do. But that's not law enforcement. That's keeping the peace by stopping you from destroying that peace. And he was right. He was a peace officer. He wasn't a law enforcement officer. He says that's for the judge to do, is enforce the law. He says all I'm here to do is make sure that people follow the law so it can be peaceful. And he says, because I'm a peace officer. Holy God, Phil, I'm glad you sent that message. Look at the time.
I didn't stop him when we were having a good time. So
yeah,
I do have to call it a night myself. So
yes, you do, and I really should too. Not that I got a lot to do at the campground. I mean, for this weekend, I'll get back tomorrow, probably about 11 o'clock in the morning. I'll head out a little later than usual, and it's going to take me an hour maybe to do all my campground chores because I don't have enough campers to dirty my bathrooms even. And for the weekend, I'm only not even half booked. So even this weekend, I'm going to have to figure out, well, I know what I'll do. I'm going to pull my motorboat out of the lake and blah, 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 blah. Bullshit. So, hey, Phil, Running Water, thanks, guys. It's been great having you up tonight. You made my Wednesday. So did everybody out in that chat. Love you all, man. Think about you all week long, and I look forward to my Wednesdays. Hey, only got, well, it's the 8th, so just a hair over a month, and I'll be back home, and I'll be getting all set up to start my regular stream schedule again. So things look good. They look good. I want you all to take care of yourselves. And like usual, I'm going to grab the prettiest girl in the house and I'm going to dance my ass right out of here. And you two fellas, you're on your own. You'll have to find your own girls to dance with. Okay?
Gotcha.
Till next Wednesday. Bye, everybody.
See y'all.